radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah, man, today's Tuesday, March 13th, 2018. 72 days into the new year, just 293 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking? How you doing? Big night on the show tonight. Because tonight we have very special guest. Grant Cameron is here from the Great White North. And he's here to help us analyze the new Go Fast video that was just released from Tom DeLonge and the To the Stars Academy. This is video number 3. The number shall be 3. All right. Tomorrow night, radio host Tim Ray joins the show. I was on Tim's show out in Atlanta, a couple of weeks ago, maybe three weeks ago. And so I wanted him on Fade to Black. It was just like, man, you're a great host. You really know this subject matter. And so we're going to do that on Wednesday. Very excited about that and the things that he's got going on. So that will be tomorrow night. Thursday night's another Fader night. John Rappaport's going to be here with his No More Fake Newsroom Live. And followed by open lines all night long. And that is Thursday night. Call-in numbers 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Tonight is a very big night. We've got Grant Cameron here to discuss the Go Fast video. And in less than 2 hours, it is now 7 p.m. The countdown is starting. 7 p.m. here on the Pacific coast. At 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight East Coast time, in 2 hours, Onstellar.com will open for registration. Okay, so that's going to go on tonight. Just jump over. It's very simple. Oh, by the way, hello to everybody on the Bunker Cam. We've opened up the show tonight also on YouTube Live, something we don't do that often. But tonight's a very big show, so I need as many people out there to get with it and not only listen to what Grant has to say about this new Go Fast video, very important subject, but also Onstellar. And so all you have to do is use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. Go sign up over at Onstellar. Reserve your screen name. Get that done. Register. Go through the process. And get it done because it's kicking off. All right? Onstellar, the new social media platform, is going to launch in the third quarter. By the time that rolls around, all of the good screen names and all that stuff, the ones that we're talking about, 1 million people or more are going to register between now and then. So, had something in my throat. It's weird. That's what's the beauty of the cough button in live radio. You don't hear the cough, but you hear that little blank spot, right? You hear the blank spot, the clearing of the throat, and then you'll always hear the host come back and go, I had to use the cough button. So what's worse, the cough button or clearing of the throat? I don't know. So anyway, that kicks off in 2 hours. And so what a night it's ultimately going to be. And I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody's stuff. Now, Rita is going to, especially when the countdown starts, we will tweet everything out. It is Onstellar.com. It's very simple. The promo code is Jimmy. And right now, there are no other promo codes. That's it. And go and get your screen name, okay? Follow us on Twitter, by the way, at JChurchRadio. Look at John. Are you going to register? Of course. Wait, midnight East Coast or West Coast time? Scott, I just said, Twitter's so funny. I just said in 2 hours, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight tonight, East Coast, in 2 hours. That's all you got to remember, 2 hours. I'm going to tell you on the air what time it is, so don't you worry about it. All right, you guys are funny. Follow us on Twitter, at JChurchRadio. Facebook, YouTube, everything is Fade to Black. Jimmy Church Radio, Game Changer. You can go follow, like, and subscribe right now over at jimmychurchradio.com. If you want to jump into the sandbox, get into this. I didn't say hello in any of the chat rooms, so let me do that now so everybody knows I'm doing this in real time. Good evening. Hello to the chat room. See, now you guys know. You got to hear me punch it and everything, and now you're reading it right there. See, it's all in real time. Come and hang out with us. We've got 2 chat rooms, KGRA The Planet. Got a chat room there. Of course, we've got the Spreaker chat room. We have Twitter. We have the Sandbox, which is hashtag F2B, and, of course, the Fade to Black questions, which is hashtag F2BQ. You can also email throughout the show. There used to be a thing, something in my throat, called email. People don't really, do you email anymore? If it's an emergency email, remember how big email was, what a big deal it was. Now, with texting and cell phones and Twitter and social media, what I mean? It's kind of weird. So we saw the post office nearly go out of business. Do you really care about mail that arrives at your house anymore? What arrives in the mail at your house? It used to be bills, right? And junk mail, of course, but bills. All that stuff is done online now. So what comes in the mail? How about a printer? Not a printer in your home, but a printer that prints stuff, the junk mail coupons and things like that. That's got to be going out of business. I can't think of anybody that's sitting around, I want to open a print shop. You know what? You go and do that. We're going to do Onstellar.com. All right. That's right. 9 p.m. midnight tonight. You can officially register for Onstellar. Get your username now. All you got to do is use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. It's Onstellar.com. This platform, it incorporates the best of everything. Okay, that includes Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and all of the best of going back to AOL, the best of everything is on this new platform, but it is completely focused on our community, all of it, from UFOs to conspiracy to consciousness and all things lost history and everything that falls in between, all categories, ghosts, Bigfoot, near-death experiences, everything is included, okay? And all the categories are there. You'll see everything broken down at 9 p.m. tonight in 2 short hours. This is the first social platform to be based on the blockchain. And because it is first, you will see other websites and things like this try to use and should try to use the blockchain and incorporate in with the stuff that they are doing, and which is great. The blockchain can be used for a lot of different things. We're going to use it for our community, and it's going to be awesome, and our community is huge, and now we have our own platform. No censoring. You can do what you want. There's not going to be any pullback or any influence from the company. None of that is going to occur. Everything that has been going down on YouTube lately and everything that's been going down with Twitter and what appears to be, and Facebook, which appears to be censoring and fake news, all of that stuff, right? You just don't know. Now we have our own, and it is badass. The look of it, the feel, what it is, and it's for our community. Don't forget that. That launches tonight. All right, the official launch of the platform where all the action kicks off will be in third quarter. The platform will have its own token economy. And for the first time, our community will have a way to support members of our community who have something to say, who have done the research, who want to write a book or have a book out or want to make a new documentary, or they have a documentary out. Everything, ideas, sightings. Maybe you've shot a video on your cell phone and you want to show the world. You know what? When you do that with another platform like Facebook, you know who makes the money? Everybody but you. And that's not cool. It's not. Now you have a way to go out and get things done. So think about that. All right? Onstellar is going to prove to be one of the most visionary social platforms in history. And it kicks off tonight in less than 2 hours. And a couple of things really quick. Don't forget that the ECETI Roadshow is going to be moving up the West Coast and up into Washington. And if you want to go participate, head over to jimmychurchradio.com and click on their banner, which is right there. Click on the banner, look at the full schedule for the ECETI Roadshow, and go and hang out with Ashley and the crew. It's heading up the West Coast right now. All right, now the big news, besides Onstellar and Grant Cameron being on the show tonight, is our next event, which is Contact in the Desert. It's June 1st through the 4th, 2018, in Indian Wells, Palm Springs, California. It is the biggest, most focused, largest, funnest UFO convention in the world. It's going down this June 1st. Now, I had mentioned about a month ago, and this will be up and active in a couple of days. Hopefully, it'll be done before the end of the week, and I can announce it either tomorrow night or Wednesday night on the show. There's an awards ceremony, awards dinner, awards banquet that is going down on Saturday night, and we will have a Fade to Black table. Okay? And I think, I just got off the phone with them today. I think there's going to be 10 tickets available for sale for you to purchase for you and your significant other, or maybe by yourself, but you kind of want to bring somebody to something like this, and have dinner with Rita and I, and go through the awards banquet and ceremony. It's hosted by George Norrie, and of course he's going to be there, and all of the awards winners are going to be there. It's going to be great. So we'll make that announcement here in a couple of days, and I can't wait to have dinner with a table full of Fadernauts. It's going to be so cool. So that is June 1st through the 4th. Click on the banner over at jimmychurchradio.com, Contact in the Desert. Then coming up right after that, our Soul Tech Gathering, which is up at ECETI Ranch, and that is this August 9th through the 12th. And it's very simple. Click on the banners at jimmychurchradio.com for Soul Tech Gathering. Take you over to soultechgathering.com. Tickets are there. We're only selling 300. That's it. Only 300 tickets for this up at ECETI Ranch. It's going to be amazing. Sky watching, learning, teaching, a full weekend of making friends and making memories. It's going to be awesome. Okay? So don't forget to go and do that. And our podcast, which we have over 800 archive shows. 800. Just $2 a month for the podcast. Okay? There you go. Done. What else do we have? Oh, if you want autographed T-shirts or hats, you can become a Fadernaut today. Go and become a game changer in the membership section of our site. We've got autographed hats and T-shirts. We've got the bunker cam. Hello to everybody out there. You can do that too as well as MP3 downloadable commercial-free archives. Just go to our membership section on the site. All of our sponsors are great, by the way. like Life Change Tea, GetTheTea.com, River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend, which I'm drinking right here. It's amazing. Ancient Life Oil, the best CBD, organic CBD, and the price is amazing too as well. And don't forget about New Mana Food Storage and Bearing Optics. Everything is over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. All of the promo codes that you need are right there. All right, let's get this show cracking. Happy birthday to Disturbed frontman David Draymond. Today is 45 years old. Sounds of Silence. And Disturbed is great. Man, I followed them when they just a small band. They have gotten so big. That song is amazing, you know, the Simon and Garfunkel song. But they've gotten what they deserve. They are truly, truly household names now. David Draymond today is 45. Also today, rapper, actor Common is 46. I like Common. Cool dude. 46 years old today. On this day in history, OTD, 1781, English astronomer William Herschel discovers Uranus, the seventh planet from the sun, 1781. But how did the Anunnaki, right? How did the Egyptians, how did the Dogons, how did what appears to be, I mean, all of the ancient cultures out there know about the planets out there when, William Herschel with a telescope didn't find it until 1781. Right? You ever stop and think about that? And I understand technology. I get it. When I look up at the stars today with my night vision or with a telescope or with my naked eye, and I look at the stars, they look like stars. How is it that you were able to, before computers and technology and extremely technical measurement devices, how were you able to know the difference between a planet and a star? And that a planet is orbiting the sun. How are you able to do that? How? If you were measuring the precession, right? The precession of the Earth, the wobble that is there every 26,000 years, 72 degrees, right? Okay, so, and you look at that, and you can measure a degree, 1 degree every 72 years of movement, and right? Okay, so I get it today, but how, if you were putting up a stick in the ground, and you're measuring, and you've got some kind of, and I'm talking about 500 years ago, right? And you've got some stick in the ground, and you're moving, how do you know that the ground hasn't moved, right? A little earthquake, a little shift. And that little shift now cancels out the degree or all of the measurements that you were doing. How are you doing this? And if the ground moved, aren't all measurements off? If if this was 1,000 years ago, there are some things. This knowledge has been handed down. This knowledge has been given to us, man. I'm serious. Just no way. It just doesn't make sense to me. There are other things that come into play. And if you think about it, the way that we moved with plate movement and the continents, that wasn't even a proven theory until the 1960s. It was kind of talked about in the 1950s. But nobody knew about this. No, nobody knew. So nobody around the world was thinking about the ground moving to another spot in the ocean. Right? It's weird, but it was going on. So how is it possible? It's because it was all given to us. Think about that for a second. All right. Here's a fader fact for you. 3 of the 4, the number today is 3. 3 of the 4 members of Metallica, that's Lars Ulrich, Kirk Hammett, and bassist Jason Newsted, all three divorced their wives during the recording of the Black Album. Why? Because they almost didn't get that album done. And the stress, the troubled production, everything that was going on in the Black Album, they divorced their wives. And that is a fader fact. Three. The number today is 3. All right. Everyone needs to check out Fox's news tweet about Trump's commitments about space and that we may have a space force. Yeah, I heard about that today. He was hanging out. Gilligan kept moving the professor's measuring stick. I know he did. That's funny. Yeah, he was speaking to the Marines today and said, very interesting. He goes, if Hillary would have gotten elected, you, the Marines, would not be going to Mars. Yeah, pretty interesting. You got to read between the lines when any president speaks. But that today was pretty interesting. No doubt about it. All right, tonight, a very special guest, Grant Cameron's going to be here in a few short minutes, live from Canada. I think he's up in Manitoba, right? I think Grant is he's in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We're going to talk about the new video that was just released from To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge. And I want Grant's take on things. That's what's most important here. So I want Grant's take on it and the previous videos too as well. We're going to talk about that, look at them all as a whole. And what information he has got. So we're going to do that. But I mentioned this last night on the show, but when I have a guest on, it's about the guest. It's about Grant and Grant's information. My take on it doesn't matter. There's no reason for me to do that. So I'm going to present that take now. I kind of spoke about this last night, but because Steve Murillo was on with us, and Steve and I are very open with each other. But let me share you this. I watched the video again today a bunch of times, and I'm trying to, with these huge monitors here, and I'm able to blow it up and stop it and freeze it and take a look at it. This is my take. There's missing footage at the beginning and at the end. That's the first thing. There's missing footage, and I doubt that this is all there is to this clip or the clips in general. But let's focus on this Go Fast video. So I want to know what was said and what happened after this clip stops. Why did they stop it where they did? At the most exciting part of this, woohoo, we got it. What is that? Boom, the clip stops. I'm not buying that. Okay, here is Shadows of Your Mind. Fate or Nots. What do you consider to be the greatest hoaxes, not conspiracies, of the fringe community? Answer on a postcard. Interesting. And if you haven't entered already, you can still win a full weekend pass to Contact in the Desert. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Shadows of Your Mind magazine.co.uk. Okay, all right. I'll retweet that. That's good. See, some things will just get a retweet. And that right there is one of them. You want to know how I retweet something? Just make it good. All right. Boom. Done. And that just got a retweet. I even hashtagged it. Can I get a free pass for Contact in the Desert? I'd like to go. That would be cool. The greatest hoaxes. Huh. You mean like Billy Meyer? Ooh. It's hot in here. Did I say that? It's hot in here. It's hot. Hot. You mean like Billy Meyer? Ooh. It's hot in here. You mean a hoax like that? Like Billy Meyer? The Billy Meyer hoax? Like that? All right. I know there's some people out there that still believe that Billy Meyer is real. So I don't want to offend anybody out there. Back to this video. The most exciting part is what we're seeing there. Where's the rest of the video? Where's the second half of it? What was said before this? right? Where did the object come from? How long were they tracking it? Who saw it first? No mention of speed on this, airspeed. We can go out with our radar and telemetry with all these modern electronics in an F-18 Hornet, and we are able to track, identify friend or foe. Everything is on the line. We know with airspeed, the altitude, direction, right? Well, where is all of that information here? All right, size of the plane. Where is all of that distance? Now that's all interesting to me. When I see this video, I have a big letdown. There is nothing there. I really want something to be there. I don't have anything. You as my audience, I don't have a reason for you to go and look at this video. Man, you got to see this, man, this object. It's amazing. You can see this. And there's nothing there for this video. All right? That video, that object could be anything. Could be anything. You know what it really could be? It could be Tiger Woods on a driving range hitting balls out into the ocean. That's what it looks like. Little golf ball. And it's just a low drive, just straight out, right? A little bit of backspin kind of hanging in the air. Could be anything. And that's I don't know. It looks so small. And if I was to judge where it's at above the waves, what it looks like to me there, and the water in the background, if I'm just going to be somebody that's guessing, I'm going to say this thing is 6 inches. It's a softball. That's it could be anything. I don't know. So if it's that small and it's white, man, maybe it's a friggin' seagull in a glide pattern. I don't know. But we don't know what it is before and what it is after in this video that they're talking about, that they've seen, and so forth. How long was this thing out there? And that's the problem that I have with this. You can't show a video, and I believe, what is it, 15 seconds long? What is it, 15, 30 seconds? It's short. There's not enough there. There needed to be more meat on that bone for me. There's not enough there. And so I can't wait. Maybe I'm missing something. Grant is going to be on the show tonight. He's always here to set me straight. So let's see what he's got to say. I don't want to take the wind out of the sails for anybody here with this video. I would love all of your opinions. I see what you guys are saying here, and that's great. I'm skeptical, say that. Watched it before the show, total bust. It had about as much substance as Rosie O'Donnell's Social Intelligence. Well, you don't got to take a poke at Rosie. Come on, let's keep the personal stuff out. But yeah, you're probably right. I think that the pilots were very excited to have locked on the target. Yeah, you're right about that. That was pretty interesting. Probably hard to lock on a target that's so small, golf ball or whatever it is. It's probably hard to lock onto a seagull or a bird. It's probably not that easy, which is probably what's going on here. That SRV guitar hanging in the back. All right, Gonza Metal. Right on. You know what? That'll get a retweet. I got to get out of here. I'm going to get Grant Cameron in here and going to kick this show off. We've got 90 minutes to Onstellar, people. Get ready. 90 minutes. When I come back, we'll be joined from Winnipeg, Grant Cameron, talking about that Go Fast video. It's going to be a great night on the show. Hello to everybody out there on YouTube, on the Bunker Cam, everybody in the chat rooms. Hello, Twitter. All right, let's do this. Got a great show ahead. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, The Planet. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Natural Health Solutions with Chris and Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing?
Great, Chris.
Now, you're the CEO of GetTheTea.com, right?
Yes, I am.
What is GetTheTea.com? I mean, is this tea you buy in a store?
Well, no, it's not. Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. Life Change Tea is an herbal tea that gently cleanses your body from intruders.
What do you mean by intruders?
Well, intruders are toxins, chemicals, GMOs, heavy metals, and more. They're in our food, in our water, in our air we breathe.
Seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
And Life Change Tea will help you with removing these, as you say, intruders?
That's right, Chris.
Are there side effects with this tea?
Well, you might lose a little weight. When you clean your colon, you lose weight, you feel better, and you have more energy.
Wow. Ronnie, where can people purchase Life Change Tea?
Oh, that's easy. GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Ronnie, I want to thank you for being on the show. People, don't forget, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA. The Planet.
Win big with KGRA this summer. Tickets and hotel accommodations to the biggest conferences, autographed books and DVDs, chances to win all-inclusive conference cruises, and private dinners with your favorite KGRA hosts. Click the contest tab at kgraradio.com for your chance to win big this summer. Your contact for the best alternative talk radio on the planet. kgraradio.com.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. How you doing? Good evening. Big night tonight on the show. Of course, Grant Cameron is here from the snowy Great White North up in Winnipeg. And also, in 90 minutes, Onstellar will open its registration, and we'll have all of that up in the countdown for everybody. So it'll be 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 midnight Eastern time. Go and get your screen name and get registered. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. This portion of the broadcast is proudly brought to you by Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. The banners are over at jimmychurchradio.com. Use the promo code FADER, F-A-D-E-R, short, simple, easy, FADER, and you will get yourself free shipping. Grant Cameron has been a UFO researcher since 1975. He was recognized as both the Leeds Conference International Researcher of the Year and the UFO Congress Researcher of the Year. He's a world-renowned expert on UFOs, conspiracies, government cover-ups, and has spent decades watching and chronicling developments around extraterrestrial contact. Of course, he is the author of Charlie Red Star, one of the great contact UFO sightings and experiences in history. Happened up there in Canada when he was a kid. That's amazing. The Charlie Red Star story, when it comes to Grant, I cannot hear that experience enough. It is absolutely incredible. Everybody parked their cars they were listening to. This was, hey, Grant, I'm going to pull you in early before I finish your introduction. Yeah. That sighting, that was back in the 70s, right? So,
yeah, 1975.
So all the hits back then, like people that had their cars pulled over, you would put your speakers on top of the car. You remember those days? So everybody was up there listening to like Foghat and Heart, right? Watching Charlie Red Star, right? That's essentially what was going on. I had to just throw you under the bus because, look, you got to understand, Grant, you and I are the same age. You know who Foghat is. The rest of our audience doesn't, okay? So we got that going for us. Tonight we're going to discuss the new Go Fast video that was just released by the To the Stars Academy and Tom DeLonge. It is the third video that they have released. Of course, we'll talk about all three in their entirety and maybe even throw in a number one Mylar balloon for good measure. And we'll talk about all of this tonight and the other goings-on around the UFO community. Please welcome back our good friend from the Great White North, the best, Grant Cameron. Grant, welcome. How are you tonight?
That's doing just great, Jimmy Church. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, you know, you've been doing this for a very, very long time, Grant, and 1975 to me seems like yesterday, but we need to be serious here. That's a long time. And to have this explosive UFO subject out there for the first time for you, for all of us, like this in the mass media since December of 2017, that these are exciting times. At least the subject is out there and it's being discussed. How are you right now? Do you have the same enthusiasm that you had back in December? You were on the show with me then. We had that important night where we brought you on. How are you today?
Actually, I hate the story. I just I'm not much. I'm into it. I call it the rat hole, and I'm so far down that I can't even see the surface. Mm-hmm. But it's a story that I've followed, and I always point out to people, because people think that what happened today happened in 1975, and you're very true that in 1975 we had no idea about anything. Travis Walton was abducted the same year. Right. I had my experience. But other than that, there was like no abductions, there was no crashed aliens, there was no Roswell, there was basically nothing. And now we have this sort of world that we've sort of waited for sort of the justification that we were right all along, that I wasn't crazy in 1975 when I saw this object. And yet when it came, I mean, I was pretty much into it. I was into it long before Tom DeLonge started. Like most of the characters in the play, I've known about for quite a while. Right. And yet when it happened, it's the idea of being inside the UFO community, because it can be very, very cruel, very sort of, you're always fighting with people, and that's just not me. I really don't like that part of the story. But in terms of what you're pointing out, the idea that I called it disclosure in December. Now I would change it to confirmation, because that's what they're doing. They're not doing disclosure. They're doing confirmation. They're doing what Bob Bigelow talked about in a 2013 interview with George Knapp on Coast to Coast. Mm-hmm. And that's what I sort of encourage people, that people think that, everything's always been the same. But what happens with the Tom DeLonge story or all this kind of stuff is you got to go back and you got to listen to the interviews from 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and suddenly you hear them completely differently. And so what Bob Bigelow said in 2013, George asked him, he said, "Are you in favor of disclosure?" And he said, "No, I'm not." He said, we need confirmation. We don't need disclosure. We need confirmation. We need this story to be put out there to the American people. Just the fact the phenomenon is here, it's real, and that's it. Stop right there. And a couple years down the road, then you can do disclosure. And what I've realized in this story since December, this is exactly what they did. They did confirmation. It's not disclosure, because disclosure means you stand the president up and you say ETs are here, it's real, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
There is no there's no discussion of aliens, and that's what, if you listen to the interview that Bigelow said in 2013, you don't need to talk about aliens, you don't need to talk about they're here, ETs, all this kind of stuff. You just need to say the UFOs exist, and that's it. And so you see the operation, the To the Stars operation, that's exactly what they're doing. There's no discussion of ET. It's what they should have done in 1947. They should have said in 1947, they're here, we don't know what it is, and you go from there. So there's almost like trying to redo the playbook. But I encourage people, like, in fact, what I tell people with the Tom DeLonge thing, because people always get sort of, it's almost, we're like 24/7 news, that we watch the story and then we forget about it. We go on to the next story and go on to the next story. And one of the interviews you did, I say, is one of the most important one of this entire story. And that is the interview you did with Tom DeLonge. And I tell people all the time, I said, if you want to know what's going on, you got to listen to the Jimmy Church interview with Tom DeLonge. That tells you exactly, how he started, how he was set up, how they brought him into this operation, they moved him around from place to place and that sort of stuff. It was very open, but people sort of get into the position where they're waiting for the next story. They're waiting for the next video. And that's why we get set up so easy, is because everybody thinks disclosure is the next story. And I tell people, I say, there's three options. You either are disclosing, which means you stand up somebody and you say, or the president, somebody of authority, or the CIA director, and say, this is for real. You show the bodies, the crafts, you have all the big networks in there, and you sort of out everything, or you cover up. And that means you just shut up and don't talk about it, like Canada or Australia or Germany or whatever, where nobody knows anything about what's going on about UFOs. You just shut up and don't talk about it.
Right.
They're doing something in between. They're doing this, and that's what Bigelow called it, confirmation. They're confirming the story. And so I've watched it very, very closely. And I wrote the book Managing Magic before this thing started. And what I was told a year ago is exactly what happened. And even a year ago, I never would have believed it. What I was told is high-level government officials will come forward, they will out themselves, and they will say this thing's for real. And I went, yeah, right. Come on. The high-level government officials are going to actually come out. And that's exactly what happened. You had Lou Elizondo come out. You had Steve Justice come out. You had Jim Semivan came out, and they identified who they were high-level government officials, retired, and the story's for real. And so I've watched it very carefully, but it's so much material. It's such a driven story that, as I tell people now, I really don't even have time to do emails. I don't have time to do anything. There's just so much material happening, so many people talking. It's such an intense story, and yet it's this thing where when you put it out, there's all this fighting and stuff like that. And this is the sort of disclosure that I'm sort of telling people now, is that what is happening, this is confirmation, and what is happening, and I'm pretty sure of this, we've been Tillersoned. We've been fired. The UFO community has been bypassed. If you take a look at what they're doing,
right,
they are totally ignoring the UFO community, because the UFO community is sort of like a 3-year-old kid. We want prove this to us. And you see with the To the Stars story, people are saying, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? It's like, why didn't they prove it to me? Why didn't they produce this evidence, that evidence? It's because it's not about the UFO community. They basically went to the news media. They said, we're going to bypass the UFO community because all it is fighting, infighting. You're never going to convince them. They went to the 3 major news networks and they coordinated this thing. There's no way that 3 major news networks outlets went the same day with a major story that took them months to do, and all went on the same morning with that story. That shows high coordination. And so what they have done is that they have produced to these high-level reporters. And Blumenthal is the one at the New York Times, and everybody ignores the other ones. There's Warwick is actually the big guy. He's the Washington Post guy. He won 2 Pulitzer Prizes. And then you have the Politico reporter. And what you have is these are national security reporters who are used to working in the Pentagon. So what they do is they go in and they hear the story and they go to their Pentagon sources who are off the record and they say, is this for real? And they get told, yes, this thing's for real. And they run with the story. All three newspapers run with the story. Then when the UFO community tries to confirm it, what we're getting now, and this is a discussion that's been going on today and yesterday and stuff like this, is this whole idea that when you file an FOA, and apparently there's been 1,500 to 2,000 FOAs filed on this the ATIP program, then you get this. John Greenwald was bringing up yesterday, I guess it was. No records, nothing responsive. There's nothing here. And I know because I was dealing with a reporter who asked Hillary Clinton the first question. He did me a favor when this thing first broke in December. He filed an FOIA, and he was told right up front, no, we did not release these videos. So you have this big controversy going on. The UFO community cannot confirm these videos are confirmed by the Defense Department. They say there's no records. We have no record of the ATIP program. We don't have anything. And they're playing this same old game. And yet, when you take a look, you say, well, how did the New York Times fall for this story? And I know that when the story broke, there was already trouble with the videos. And a friend of mine contacted Blumenthal. He was friends with Blumenthal. And I'll tell you, if this had been happening in public, he probably would have killed my friend. He was so angry. He said, do you think I'm stupid? And that brought up an important point. You have the Washington Post guy who's got 2 Pulitzer Prize, national security guy, lots of Pentagon sources, and you have Blumenthal, 42 years at the New York Times or whatever. And these guys have all these sources, so they must have been told something. Otherwise, they wouldn't have run with the story. They had authoritative sources that said, yes, this thing's for real. And that's all they're doing is they're convincing these guys. So you get all these videos, and the UFO community is fighting about it. Oh, it's Tom DeLonge's gathering money. They put up the balloon photo. It's all a big mess. It's just a big mess. And yet you see Fox picked it up today. CNN picked it up yesterday. Mm-hmm. They've got all the major news media. So they're not interested in you and I. They could care less whether you and I believe this story. All they're interested in is putting it to CNN, big news media outlets, and do the confirmation thing. And if you take a look at the CNN story or it all goes the same way. It's like, oh, the Pentagon has just released another UFO video. No, not questioning anything. None of the problems that are brought up in the UFO community about Tom DeLonge gathering money or all this kind of stuff. They've totally ignored that because they're doing cut and paste journalism. They've given them the story and they're running with the story. No little green men. The media has completely been turned around. And I would say what the objective was to get the general public shifted over. And I'd be interesting to see a poll of how much it's shifted. I would not be surprised if the poll in the public has shifted 5 or 10%. More people say, yeah, this thing's for real. Because that's the way it's been presented. It's like the major news media are talking about it like it happened, and there was no riots. Nobody burned down Washington, D.C. They basically came out and said, yeah, we have a government program. We're working on UFOs. And they got away with it. And it's out there. And now they're going to play this thing for a while longer with the videos and all this kind of stuff. And then they'll move on to the next stage. Where are they? But right now, don't talk about aliens. Don't talk about this kind of stuff. And the story that sort of confirms that the UFO community has been fired is, that my friend Melinda Leslie, we had an arrangement. We got an interview with Jim Semivan, who was the head, the sort of the director of To the Stars. And I didn't realize she's going to talk about this next week. We're in San Francisco doing this big disclosure deal, all these lectures with Danny Sheehan and her and I. And she was told by Jim Semivan, the story that Lou Elizondo didn't go to UFO Congress. And the story was that he had this medical procedure that had to be done. Mm-hmm. And that's probably true, that he had a medical procedure. But Open Minds offered to go and interview him. And then To the Stars came back and said, just send us the questions, we'll interview him. And that's what's called controlling the narrative, right? Where they do the interviews, they ask the questions they want. And what Jim Semivan said to Melinda is that not somebody in To the Stars, but somebody connected to the Stars told him not to go, to stay away from UFO conferences. And I know this is true because I know one of the people associated with To the Stars. I remember many years ago, I was at a conference, and this person, I wanted them to go into a lecture, and they would not go in the room. People were telling them, don't go in the room, don't go in the room. And it was like they don't want to be seen with us. Like they'll go there and give their lecture, they'll stand in the hall, interview people, or they'll do interviews and stuff like that. But what Lou Elizondo was told was you don't go to these conferences because, number one, you're going to be asked a bunch of hardball questions. They're just going to ask you like real tough questions. They're not going to ask you anything easy, and it's going to be hard to control a narrative. And secondly, because he's got the same job as Richard Doty. Lou Elizondo is a counterintelligence officer working for the Department of Defense, the same as Richard Doty. And because you're a counterintelligence officer, it doesn't matter how you answer the questions. If you go to UFO Congress or go on the Jimmy Church show, nobody's going to believe you anyway. So there's no point in you doing this. And that's where they're doing this thing, they're controlling the narrative. But I think it has worked extremely well in terms of them getting this message out, that you now have major media. All the major media are just playing the story that we've got another release, we've got another video, the Pentagon's going along with this thing. There's no more jokes, there's no more little green men's, and I think it's brilliant what they've done. I mean, it's really, really, I think they've done a good job. And yet in the UFO community, it's basically, they've messed this thing up. Tom DeLonge's been canned because he messed up a bunch of interviews and stuff like that. And to me, it's controlling the narrative that they wanted this confirmation thing to take place, to move the American people to the point where they all believe, yes, it's for real. The government's investigating UFOs. UFOs are real. And once they get to that point, they'll move to the next step, which is where are they from, all this kind of stuff.
What did you think about, we're going to hit a commercial here at the top of the hour, so let's watch the clock. But in this new video, we'll talk about the other two. We've got a long show in front of us. We can do that too as well. But with this new video, what did you think when you first saw it? What do you think you're even looking at?
Well, I mean, it's just another UFO video. I mean, it's not as good as the others. I mean, it's just like a little orb zipping along the ocean. And my opinion of UFO videos is always the same thing. It's a total waste of time. UFO photos and UFO videos are a total waste of time. They are there they're like candy for the public. People love looking at UFO videos. They love hearing UFO stories. They love looking at UFO photos. But I know from 1975, that's how I started. I had my sighting and I thought, oh my goodness, people got to see this. I drag all my friends out there and they basically, go home, and I spend my whole time investigating, going to this town, interviewing all these people, putting this whole book out. And then the publisher that should have published it said, Mr. Cameron, you may believe in this kind of stuff. Count me among the unbelievers. And I suddenly realized that UFO sightings, watching lights in the sky, really doesn't prove anything to anybody. Like you had a dramatic sighting at Contact in the Desert. Mm-hmm. I had a dramatic sighting. You can tell your story, and after 5 minutes of telling the story, you can watch people and you can see their eyes glazing over. They're interested for 5 minutes, and after that, they really don't care because it doesn't really prove anything. It's just another video, but it does. It's the kind of stuff that Fox, CNN, all these media outlets will take because people will watch that kind of stuff. And it's almost like doing a Hollywood movie. It's like sort of coming in the back door, subliminal advertising type thing where you're just getting across the idea there's something there. And that's what I say, whether it's the reports or even the metal. The Canadian government had lots of metal, and the Canadian government said it might as well be in the fourth dimension for what it's worth when you try to figure out what's going on. What I've maintained since 1975, the only thing that's important is the experiencers, the people who are interacting with the phenomena. You can't tell. I'll guarantee you, Jimmy, 70 years from now, if I'm long dead and gone, they'll still be playing that video, and everybody can say, "What do you think? What do you think?" You take a look at the best photographs. The best photograph we supposedly have is the Trentmont photograph from 1952. We're still arguing about it. We'll always be arguing about it. We will never solve anything with a video. People say, "What do you think? What do you think?" And people will argue about it, and then it's like, "When's the next video coming out?" And it really doesn't solve anything. It just says something's going on. Yes, there's something dramatic going on. Something is unusual, but in terms of figuring out what it is, Like you see that little orb zipping along the ocean, you say, well, what planet is it from? And it's like, well, how am I going to know? And that's what it comes down to. It's just a light. It's just like a light in the sky. It's an interesting thing. It looks interesting, but it doesn't prove anything.
Well, why release the video then? I hear you. See, this is the thing, Grant. I'm listening to you, and I agree with everything that you just said, but you're also suggesting that they, and I'm talking about To the Stars and DeLonge, and the Pentagon are trying to have it both ways. You're saying that the videos don't show anything. Why release it? Doesn't matter. We're going to argue about it forever. But yet they're releasing it to raise money and sell stocks. So
no, I don't believe that's going to do that. What they're doing, they're not, as I said, they're not interested in the UFO community. They're not there to prove to Jimmy Church or Grant Cameron that this thing is for real or that it proves anything. They're doing the confirmation thing. They're going to the American people and they're saying something's going on. Look at this video. Something's going on. That's all it proves. That's what they want. That's step number one, to get 90% of the American public to say, yes, there are UFOs. We don't know what they are, and the government should be investigating, and we should get Congress to investigate. That's all they're doing, is they're getting people interested. Most people aren't. Before you would show them a video, they'd say, it was hoax, it's garbage, it's like, I don't believe it. But now it's like, oh no, now it's not just a video. Now it's a video released by the Department of Defense. And the average person on the street goes, oh, the government is releasing stuff. It must be for real.
Right. And see, now there's two problems with this video. Number one, you don't have what is before and after the video. It's 15 seconds of footage. The most important stuff before and after this section is not there. That's the first thing. The second, it's the power of suggestion. You suggest that this is a UFO video, right? That's what the headlines are, so that's what you see. If the headline said, seagull looks like UFO in video, right? People are going to look at it and see a seagull. You can say it's a golf ball. You can say whatever you want. The power of suggestion, that's what people are going to see. And that's what's misleading, and especially if you don't have what's in front and after this particular clip. I have issues with that.
But what's before and after is only of interest to the UFO community. The average guy watching CNN could not care less about 15 seconds before or after. They're not questioning. It's the UFO community that's fighting all these issues. They're not going after the UFO community. They're just making people in the public say, oh, the government has released another video on UFOs. They're suggesting, they're saying, yes, this is a UFO released by the U.S. government. That's all they want to do.
Yeah, but what I'm suggesting here, not for the UFO community, I'm saying in general, what could be there before or after the video could be something very telling. Like in the beginning of the video, check it out, man, we're chasing these geese. What if that's, let's try to lock on to these geese with our new radar, right? What if that's what was said at the beginning? Or how about at the end, and when this thing crashes into the water and it sinks because it was a softball that was shot from a water cannon off the deck of a ship. You don't know these things. But
the public doesn't care. No, all the public is told is this is a UFO released by the U.S. government.
Right. Exactly. Very interesting. Cut out the stuff that actually, and just show, 5 seconds of a video. At the height of this excitement, wow, we locked on to it. Locked on to what? And
they're selling the story. They're absolutely selling the UFO story. That's what they're doing. Whatever manipulation it is, they're selling the story.
Nobody is better than Grant Cameron. Grant, let's take a break right here. Let's continue this discussion right after this short break. How much snow up there? Are you guys in the middle of the snowstorm?
It started to melt, but no, we don't get much snow. It's very cold, but it's no snow.
There you go. Well, why do we call it the Great White North? But that's where he is right now. It's Grant Cameron, live from Winnipeg. This is Fade to Black. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go Beckley Tappy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Ancient Life Oil. Life-changing. The real oil. CBD is truly ancient life oil from the source. This oil has no psychoactive effect and is also legal in all 50 states. When you're healthy, you're happy. The truth about this wonderful plant is that it wants to give back to mankind life, longevity, and happiness. Ancient Life Oil are golden grade, all organic, non-GMO, and infused with high-quality liquid coconut oil. It's simple. Just go to ancientlifeoil.com today. That's ancientlifeoil.com. The best, purest, organic, and non-GMO CBD in the world. Go Beckley Tappy. The statements made regarding these products have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Please consult your healthcare professional about potential interactions or other possible complications before using any product.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. Tonight, Grant Cameron is here, not once but twice, Researcher of the Year. Now, this segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Use the promo code F2B blend when you order, get 15% off. It's that simple. Click on the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Researcher of the Year, not once but twice, Grant. And when I have somebody like you, I respect you and I listen to you and you settle me down and you get me thinking clearly, right? And so congratulations on that. So let's talk about some of the points that you just brought up in this video. Why, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, which matters very little, but I would have thought that the third shot out of the cannon for To the Stars would have been something of significance. And when I saw this, I just went, well, okay, that was my take. And forget about the UFO community. Let's go back to your point. With everybody else out there that's seeing this stuff, including the mass media, at some point they're going to have the same reaction. Right? And you can tag UFO on it, but if there's nothing in the video, it's going to matter not. And TTSA and this big grand effort with the Pentagon is going to fizzle.
Yeah, that's possible, depending what they have. I will agree with you that the third one was kind of sort of a letdown, compared to the first two. But the question then would be if we had the first 15 seconds before and after the third video, or is there a video that they can release that is going to satisfy the UFO community? Absolutely not. What I was told today, because I was again questioning, and I don't want to come across to these guys like, they're complaining again, because then I don't want to get fired either. I mean, at least they're sort of talking to me. I have people that I can sort of interact and say, whatever. But what I was told today is we got bigger fish to fry. Hey, I really don't care. We got bigger. It's like, I really don't care if John Greenwald is having trouble getting stuff. It's a very long argument. Give me a very specific question that you want answered based on FOIs. It's like they really don't care about the questions anymore. It's sort of like they've got the thing, like I've heard the rumor about the 60-minute thing that's going to happen. They've got some big official going on 60 Minutes. I heard this, and I put it in Managing Magic, that this thing is planned with dates and stuff like that. This has been in the hopper for years. I've known about this story. I knew about Jim Semivan 3 years ago. I heard all these rumors that they were going to do this kind of stuff, and they're just unraveling it. And I think they've got a lot of stuff. It's not just like these one or two more videos. They've got all sorts of stuff lined up as to how they're going to unravel this thing. So they've got 24 videos, and whether they're not going to convince the UFO community, but they will sort of dazzle the American people. There'll be more and more people come across. Or even if you take a look at the Calaris Island, if you heard the story that Bob Bigelow got all the stuff from the Calaris Island, that's 15 hours of video. 100 photographs or 1,000 photographs, all sorts of reports and stuff like that. That's dramatic stuff. I mean, now it's not going to convince the UFO community, but the way that they're going to present this is this program of acclimatization. It's the Brookings Institute thing. It's you got to get people on board before you start explaining where these people are from or what's going on. Very, very controlled narrative that they're putting out there. But the third video, I will agree with you, was kind of a letdown compared to the first two. It was like you had to sort of look twice to see what's on the screen. What are you actually looking at here? And then there's all the problems which still they don't really want to answer, like this chain of custody thing, that they had it. Well, they've never released the chain of custody. Like the one was classified. Well, okay, we got to take your word for it. There's just so many problems with all this stuff. And yet I go back to this thing that the New York Times and the Washington Post reporters were these very high level guys. They had to have gotten some sort of assurance inside the government that this thing was for real, that they were going to play this game. Because the Washington Post, when was the last time the Washington Post did a straight up UFO piece? Like 1952? I mean, it's just been forever. They just don't do UFO stories or positive UFO stories. And you take a look at them, they're like in the lap of the Pentagon. They're basically giving the Pentagon line out. And to me, I'm just amazed at how well it's sort of come across when you start to understand that they've moved the media, which I think was the main objective all the time. It had really nothing to do with the UFO community in trying to convince us.
Well, Tom called me one day. I was going over to Coast. It was a Friday, and I was going on Coast that night. And he called me up and said, will you read a statement for me on the air tonight on Coast for the UFO community? And I said, sure. And so he sent this over. He texted it to me, sent it over, and then he told me, fix the typos in it, and you can read this on the air. And this is what he sent to me. It says, I don't know if you've heard it, but this is, he says, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to say for all of your support, I want to thank you. And as you know, I created a vehicle that my team was able to supercharge and get the Pentagon to officially acknowledge the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena. Senator Harry Reid, the former majority leader, went on the record as well. Congress has ignited, and briefings will be starting soon if all goes well. So bear with me as we start talking about more gun camera footage, hardware, and even more expansive military encounters. It's all coming, but it's going to trickle over the months ahead. I want to thank you all again. I am one of you. I am a truth seeker. Tom DeLonge, December 29th, 2017. So why do a statement like that to the UFO community and then turn around and give them the big finger?
Well, I don't think Tom DeLonge's really the guy running it. As he said to you in that statement, I set up the platform which they're supercharging or whatever he uses. That's what people don't realize. Everybody keeps, the New York Times, I mean, Leslie Kean wrote this up. Everybody makes the same mistake. And that's why I say, got to listen to the Jimmy Church interview. Everybody says, well, Tom DeLonge set up this operation. He's the, he's no longer Tom DeLonge. He's Tom DeJesus. He walks on water now. He's the greatest guy in the world, stuff like that. And people don't realize it's Bill Moore all over again. It's the same story. They contact him and invite him to the barbecue at Lockheed Skunk Works and say, we'd like you to introduce the president. And then he goes and he wants 5 minutes and they invite him to Area 51. He's got no security clearance. He's got nothing. And then they say, oh, we'd like you to go to the Pentagon. We got somebody to meet. And he meets these two guys, like smoking cigarettes or whatever in this dark room type thing. And then they send him to Nassau. And then the Nassau guy sends him to the West Coast and he meets the general. And then he meets the head of Lockheed Skunk Works. And it's like they just, Bill Moore, it's the same thing. It's like they drag him in and he did set up the platform. You got to give him credit. He set up the platform, but I don't think Tom DeLonge is running very much of anything anymore. I think it's basically their operation. Even if you take a look, remember when he did the news conference in October the 11th, and then he said, okay, we're going to have all this kind of stuff. It's all coming out, and nothing happened. About 2 days before, I did an update. About 2 days before the December 16th release with the videos, he actually had a post. And I don't know if it was on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, but he said, oh, they tell me, hang on, another delay. And he goes, ugh.
Right.
As if he doesn't even believe it anymore. They're telling him, hang on, it's coming. And they had this issue that Semivan talked about, is they had to get the New York Times on board, and the New York Times has demands, and they don't completely control the whole thing. And so here's Tom DeLonge doesn't even believe it. 2 days before the release that it's coming out, they're dragging him along as well. So I don't think Tom DeLonge's really running everything, and everybody thinks it's Tom DeLonge. I think, in fact, what they said with this interview that was done with Lou Elizondo, with the interview that was done, that was taped for UFO Congress, Tom DeLonge was not even in the room when they did that interview. I mean, this is, you got to remember, it's Jim Semivan, it's these guys, these U.S. government intelligence operative guys who know exactly how this game is played, how to shift opinion. I don't think Tom DeLonge has very much of anything to do. He did set up the platform, but the platform, once he got the thing going and they introduced him to people and all these people lined up, it was like Bill Moore. It was like they're feeding him stuff and he's going to get a lot of credit for it. But all the material is not coming from Tom DeLonge. It's coming from all these other people. And they're just using him as this vehicle to get this program that they've wanted to run for many years, and I think it's worked very well. So,
do you think Doty, even though he's retired, do you think Doty's got his finger in this pie?
I've made contact with him. I will be finding out.
Well, he called into this show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
You heard about that, right?
Was that was the big one, right? Where you talked to him for 90 minutes?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, he's and I see Doty different than everybody else. I mean, Doty he's doing the same thing. And before, in those years, they used a lot more of the thing where the way you got the stuff out was you took a document and you changed the document and you released the document and then you say it's a phony document, so it has the real material in it. And so this is what Richard Doty was doing. He was putting out material, and it was information cloaked with disinformation. Because I always say, like, people say, oh, he was disinforming people. Well, no, he's not disinforming people. If you want to disinform people, you just simply look at what Canada's doing, what Germany's doing, what Australia's doing, and just shut up. The story goes away. Nobody knows what's going on. You don't get a cover up going by saying we're going to throw people off Area 51 that we've got a UFO and a bunch of a live alien there by telling people we've got a UFO program there and a live alien. All you do is attract people up into the mountains to watch what's going on. So what they were doing in those days was a lot of this thing where you alter the information and you put it out. Because with Doty in those days, Richard Doty was only in the Air Force for a couple of years during this operation. There was 3,700 pages of MJ-12 documents, and almost every single one of them was released long after Richard Doty was there. Or if you take a look at an example, I'm writing up some of this stuff for maybe a future book. I wrote up the whole deal with Richard Doty. If you take a look at Richard Doty's interaction with Linda Howe, 1983.
Right.
And you take a look. So Linda Howe is going in there, and then you compare it to Leslie Kean. I can guarantee you, I've got it on a chart that I'm going to show. I'm actually in Los Angeles next Tuesday and Wednesday, lecturing in Los Angeles, and I'm going to show this chart. And I can guarantee you, if I took the names off the top, you could not tell which was Leslie Kean and which was Linda Howe. Linda Howe gets brought in to Richard Doty. She hears about him. She arranges the meeting. She goes onto his property. She goes on to Kirkland Air Force Base. He sits her down. He says, the government didn't like your documentary on, you caught him blindsided on your documentary on cattle mutilations. I've got something I want you to read. He shows her some documents. He offers her film. And then you look at Leslie Kean's story. Leslie Kean is contacted by friends of Lou Elizondo, and they say, we've got this guy we want you to meet. And she goes to Washington, D.C. She goes to the Pentagon City. She meets with Lou Elizondo, who's a counterintelligence officer, the same as Richard Doty. She sits down. She is shown videos. She is shown documents, and she sells it. When Linda Howe did it, she was working for HBO. She was a reporter on a project as well. Leslie Kean wrote for Huffington Post. So it's exactly the same story. And when you had the Richard Doty thing, Richard Doty with Linda Howe was only involved for 1 month. Most people, when they tell the story, they always forget the second half of the story. And the second half of the story was he pulled out and Linda was dealing with another agent. And then they said the thing, well, we can't release the film until after the 84 election. And people leave that part of the story out. It wasn't just Richard Doty. This was Richard Doty doing his job. There was UFOs over the nuclear weapons storage area at Monsanto Weapons Storage. This was the biggest nuclear weapons storage area in the world, and they had to they had to stop this story from coming out. Lou Elizondo's got the same job. The story is exactly the same with the video, with all this kind of stuff, and they just used a different technique. Now they're using a more open technique, a more sort of approach where they're basically saying this thing's for real. And there's not that much disinformation covering the thing, although the video does have some problems with this noise in the background, which I keep maintaining is a problem. So I always say there's what I call the high hurdle. Whether you're going to release an official government document that's top secret that says UFOs are real, or whether you're going to release a video, you can't really release the real video because that's disclosure. That's not confirmation. So what you have to do is change it. And I always thought that with this video, they put that noise in the background. And when Eric Davis, who's the chief scientist for Puthoff, was asked about it, he said, well, that's the guy left his mic open. His mic. He forgot to turn off his mic in the F-18. Well, all three videos have that vacuum cleaner noise in the background. And if you listen to F-18 chatter, you don't hear that noise. And so the question I always said was, well, did they alter the video? I mean, is the video altered? They put the noise, and then they can say, no, it's not the real video. It's not. It's the video. Right. But you alter it, and that's what they were doing in the 1980s, because that's what Bill Moore was told right from the word go. He was told by the Falcon. He said, "I'm going to give you some material, and you're going to have to separate the wheat from the chaff. Some of it's going to be real, some of it's not going to be real." And Bill Moore, of course, he's like Tom DeLonge. You need an ego to play this game. So Bill Moore said, "Oh yeah, I can do that. No problem." He was actually CIA, and I identified this in an update I just did. Bill Moore was CIA. He worked for the CIA when he was recruited at university, and he figured he could play the game. He could get on the inside. And so you get Bill Moore gets on the inside in the 1980s, and what happens? 1989, he goes to the MUFON conference in Las Vegas, and they're throwing stuff at him, and they're yelling, and he's got to go out the back door. And now today, Tom DeLonge does exactly the same thing. He gets inside the intelligence and the Defense Department. He gets a bunch of sources in there, and they're feeding on material, and he gets Researcher of the Year award. Bill Moore got thrown out of the field. He had to retire, and it's a completely different world than it was in the 1980s. But Bill Moore and Tom DeLonge, I'll absolutely guarantee you, are doing exactly the same thing. Bill Moore had 24 sources. Tom DeLonge has probably high-level sources, maybe 15, but the what's called this Cosmic Club, there's over 40 people. There's a lot of people connected to Tom DeLonge now, huge numbers of people. And I sit there and I know who most of these people are, and I just sit there and listen to what they say. A lot of people are into this game, and Tom DeLonge did set up this operation, and I think it's I think I'm probably different to most people. I think it's running extremely well in terms of what I think they intended to do.
Well, let me, have you heard, I've gotten a collection of information coming at me, and I welcome input from around the country and around the world if you've heard anything about this, but that there are a number of states right now in the U.S. that are not allowing stock to be sold or traded into the Stars Academy.
Yeah,
Now,
Canada had blocked it long ago already.
Right.
We were trying to find out why. It may have something to do, somebody said it had something to do with if you can use a credit card. They apparently allow you to use a credit card to buy it. And a lot of places, if you can't buy stock with a credit card, something like that. I didn't follow it, but Canada blocked them almost right at the word go. Canadians cannot buy stock.
Well, and another thing that I've noticed, and I've gone back and I check, about once a week, they got to the $2.5 million level, like out of the gate, and they haven't. Yeah. It's stopped. Exactly. It hasn't gone anywhere. And if you have, and I'm looking at the staff there, and let's pull out round numbers that everybody is getting $100,000 a year, right? Maybe a little more. Yeah. Tom gets his $400,000 investment back immediately out of this $2.5 million. So out of that, they're going to run out of funding here really, really quickly. There can't be a whole lot of money left. And they went and got some swanky offices down there in Escondido.
Yeah, but that's why I don't think it's got anything to do with the money. I don't think, maybe Tom DeLonge is like he's selling books. He's doing, he's got a new book coming out, and you got to have all 6 books to find out what Disclosure is all about. And he's, selling T-shirts, and that's his deal. Like we had the Bob Lazar thing, and the way he describes Bob Lazar has got the lifetime rights for Bob Lazar's video story or whatever. It's like everything to him is a money making story, and he's not really into the. I think his role in this thing, what he's doing, is completely different than what the intelligence people are doing. They're really not into the money thing, and we all know that the money's not going to buy anything, and yet what I'm going to be talking about in Los Angeles next Tuesday and Wednesday, I'm going to talk about what I think is important, the experiencer thing. There are 4 components to the if you leave out the money, there's 4 components to this whole thing. There's the reports, there's 38 reports, which don't mean anything because they're basically just reports on theoretical ideas about how propulsion works and how you get to the stars and all that kind of stuff. That means nothing. The medal is going to show very clearly that something's going on. If you got this 80 levels of material and it has these weird properties and weird isotopes and stuff, that means something very weird is going on. It just confirms that there's a phenomena that we have to look at here. And then you have the videos, which aren't going anywhere. They're not really proving anything, but it's the other thing. And what I'm told, and I'm going to play some audio there from this program. The 4th element is the experiencer one. And I'm not sure whether it was Washington Post or the New York Times talked about the experiencer thing. And this, I'm told, is I heard a rumor, this is an 8-year program, and they have a sponsor. So this is not coming from Tom DeLonge's money, I don't think. This is coming from somewhere else because Semivan said to us it's really not part of the Tom DeLonge operation. So about this thing with Hal Puthoff and Gary Nolan and Kit Green, formerly from the CIA, right, that they're working on these experiencers. And I just had another one was identified to me yesterday, and he's agreed to be interviewed about what his role is, because he's being looked at by them. And what they do is they take experiencers and highly psychic people. So Uri Geller, McMonagle, Ingo Swann, they've got all their DNA and stuff like that. And what they're looking at is highly psychic people and experiencers who have been injured. So a lot of these are military people who've gotten too close to the craft or something like that, and they've got these injuries, and they're looking at these people, and what they find out is that the way Gary Nolan described it is they have this brain pattern, and they call it the antenna. So what they're looking at, and this makes sense, this is what a smart intelligence agency would do, is if you want to know what's going on, you have these people who are saying, I'm interacting with this alien, and you watch them, and you start to study them. And what they say is they have this antenna. They're able to tune in to whatever this phenomena is, and they all have the same brain pattern. And they all have a DNA marker, from what I'm told. So they're looking at the DNA. Is there something unique about highly psychic people like Geller, Swan, all these people, and UFO experiences? And what they're finding is, yes, there is this connection. And I'm told it's an 8-year program, and it's not really part of the To the Stars thing. So you have some money there that's coming in from somewhere else, whether it's Bigelow putting up the money or whoever's putting up the money. But the thing with Tom DeLonge, it's never really what Tom DeLonge does. I don't even listen to him. I just sort of ignore. In fact, he's off the record. He really doesn't talk. You're probably the last guy he talked to. He doesn't talk to anybody. It's almost like they've got him and tell him, go produce your books, go do this thing, and we'll run this operation. You have the intelligence and the defense people who I absolutely firmly believe, are now running the show.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. The agenda and what it is that is driving it, that is what is the most curious part. You have to, is it money? Is that what's driving it, the technology? I'm not talking about To the Stars and Tom DeLonge. I'm talking about those motivated to steer DeLonge and To the Stars in a certain direction. The Bill Moore comparison here is so textbook, so do they have their agenda and meet those ends, and Tom DeLonge gets driven into the ground and has an end to his story like Bill Moore? Or is there another ending to this book where there is something that is exposed and technology is brought forward to the community, and To the Stars is allowed to sell that technology into the corporate sector? That's I don't know. And it's one of those endings is what's going to happen.
Well, I'll give you another little thing that I'll talk a little bit about in Los Angeles next week.
Let me jump in,
yeah.
Grant. Grant is going to be at UPARS right here in Studio City in the Valley, and that's going to be on Tuesday night. And you can go to UPARS on Meetup and find out all about that. And of course, Grant's website and Facebook, it'll all be there. But then on Wednesday, he's going to be at MUFON in Orange County. So 2 nights in a row, Southern California, we get the full Grant Cameron experience. Okay, so there you go, Grant. There's your plug.
Yeah.
I wish I could be there.
And then on the weekend, we do the big expose with Melinda Leslie, and Danny Sheehan. And we're gonna do the whole thing. Because Melinda worked on this story for 25 years. I didn't realize that. She came up with the same.
Where's this going to be? Where's this going to be?
Well, that's at San Francisco near the airport. I think it's the Holiday Inn near the airport. That's UFO Con. And it's a big disclosure expose. And Melinda's going to do a lecture, and I'm going to do a lecture. She's going to do sort of the old stuff. And she interacted with a lot of the Bill Moore's people. I didn't realize this. I make the joke, I'm always one step removed from my victim. I always sit there and I have people who are talking to these people, but I never really talk to any of these people directly.
Are you saying that Melinda, when Bill Moore was on the circuit in the 80s, that Melinda was dealing with Bill Moore's people in the 80s?
Late 80s, early 90s, yeah. And she actually confronted a number of them, and she's going to out some of these people that she talked to. She's going to actually say who she talked to and what they told her. And what they told her is basically the same thing that I said, that the idea is that they are there. There's people inside the UFO community who are there to, I think you have to listen to her version of the story and what she said, to spin the story and control it and move it away when it gets too close to classified information. And so these people are in there, and that's why I call the book Managing Magic. That's what they're doing. They're managing this story. They're trying to move it out, but they're also trying to control the story from going different places they don't want it to go. And so she worked on these people, and she mentions the people that she talked to, and I'll let her describe, but I didn't realize. I only knew this last November. She met me at Laughlin. She said, I need to have an interview with you and talk with you. And I've been doing this, and I tell everybody to watch all your updates and stuff, that it's the homework, and I've done this. And I said, you've done it? And she gave me 80 pages of notes of all the people that she talked to and how she's got a flow chart of all these people and how she thinks they all link together. My list is a lot longer than hers, and I have maybe different impressions of exactly what they're doing. But she in the 80s and 90s, she was dealing with a lot, because she was in the Los Angeles area. And a lot of the aerospace stuff is there, and a lot of these people showed at Orange County, MUFON, and these people were around there. So she interacted with a lot of these people, and she's very, she's in their face. I mean, I'm not. She's very confrontational, right. And if she wants to ask a question to somebody, she's not afraid of everybody. I don't really encounter anybody. I don't confront anybody.
Grant, I gotta encounter you right now and take a commercial break. Let's do that. We'll be right back. We'll pick up right where we are leaving off. The one and only Grant Cameron joins us tonight. Lots to talk about. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires. This year we've experienced more than our fair share. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and last month I decided to make sure my family does not have to worry about food should we get caught in a real emergency situation. Introducing Numana, a healthy, storable product that tastes so good that you'll want to eat it every day instead of just during those times of duress. All Numana products have a 25-year shelf life, are MSG and GMO-free, no preservatives, and are made in America. With the Numana pack in your home, you'll be able to sleep at night knowing that you've protected your family. Not only have I tasted and tested, I own it. Now you can too. Just click on the Numana banner on JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code Jimmy when you order. In addition to a discount, we'll send you an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Seriously. Go Beckley Tappy.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. There's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. Great conversation going on right now with Grant Cameron. 30 minutes, 27 minutes till the launch for pre-registration, registration at Onstellar.com. So get ready for that. It's getting ready to go down at the top of the hour. This segment of Fade to Black is proudly brought to you by New Pharma. GNU Pharma. Click on the banners over at jimmychurchradio.com. Go and read about all of the science behind New Pharma. And the promo code is F2B. F, the number 2B. F2B. And you're going to get 33% off of your order. Again, Onstellar in 25 minutes. And you can go and register and use the promo code Jimmy, everybody. Okay. Grant, staying on this, I think the comparisons to Bill Moore are inevitable and also fascinating. This is the thing. When it comes to that, and you're comparing Doty to Elizondo, and again, it's like it's right there. It's staring at us in the face. How do we trust at that point? I know you have your opinions about Doty, but how do we trust Elizondo, and if his intentions are honest and sincere?
I think you just have to read him. I've listened to probably every interview he's given. I haven't gotten any sort of real. When somebody's telling the story, they'll say something like they'll bring up Roswell or something at the wrong time in history when it didn't exist, or Area 51 when the term wasn't being used. There's nothing that he said that that sort of ticks me off. I'm more interested in the others because I know that a lot of people are saying, okay, you have evil government guys, but in this case, the vast majority of these people that are involved are experiencers. You have Jim Semivan, for sure, is an experiencer. There's a high-level guy in NASA who has not put his name in the thing yet, but he's part of this. He's definitely an experiencer. He told me his experience about the beings in the bedroom. Gary Nolan, I believe, is an experiencer. If you listen to Jack Sarfati, Hal Puthoff had an experience when he was young. Eric Davis, for sure, got into this because of a UFO sighting that he had in, I think, 1989. So you don't have people who are doing this because they're working for government or whatever. These are people who are like you and I, who caught the bug by seeing something, and they're determined to figure this out. So and the people that I've met and over this period of time, once you meet them face to face, you have a different impression than when you hear the stories behind the scenes. When you meet him, you go, geez, he's not that bad a guy. I mean, he's just like, maybe people have got him read wrong when you see him. But I listen to all of them, and I have over 100 people on the list. So I'm not relying on one or two people. I believe there's 100 people in this story, and I listen to what everybody says. So it's whether you're talking Pandolfi or whether you're talking Elizondo or whoever, I listen to them all. And I try to get a story based upon what 100 people are saying. And I don't really take anybody. What people do is they sort of separate there's good guys and bad guys. And the mistake you make by doing that is that you sort of pick your religion and you figure out, okay, this is a good guy, and you start listening to one person. And I think that is the dangerous part, is that you should be listening to what they're all saying and trying to put a story together. And to me, the story makes pretty good sense as to what's going on. And for an example of that is Bill Moore. People give Bill Moore a bad rap. I can say that Bill Moore, because I was with Bill Moore. I was around when he was there. He's the only guy in the entire UFO community who actually helped me with Dr. Eric Walker. And for that, I say, I mean, could he be that bad a guy? He actually sent Kit Green from the CIA in to interview Dr. Walker, and he ended up getting thrown out of the office. But he actually helped me, and he answered my questions when I asked him stuff. I've dealt with Hal Puthoff for many years, and every time I've asked him a question, it's been like I asked him, did the presidents get briefed on remote viewing? I know he was going after the Holloman Air Force Base film. He came to me about that. I know that, and this is a story that I want to tell before the end of the show. I've got another thing I'm going to disclose in Los Angeles. He knew the importance of a guy by the name of Arthur Lundahl, who when the guy picks up on that, then I know this guy's legit. He knows what's going on. He knows what the important guy. And I had a collection of UFO writings from Art Lundahl, who was the first guy who ran the Weird Desk at the CIA, the UFO thing, and that was back in the 50s and 60s. And Hal said, I heard you got this file of his writings. Can I get a copy of that file? And then I knew that he knew the importance of this. And I've dealt with most of the people in To the Stars. I haven't dealt with DeLonge or whatever. I've indirectly dealt with a lot of them. And I just find out that they're just, I mean, they may be deluded. So that's where people will say good and bad. I really don't believe in good and bad. I believe in belief systems, that people are deluded. They get some idea in their head and that makes them do stupid things. So I believe there's a lot of deluded people, but the people that I've met, I really can't say, I would say that I have that problem with whistleblowers, but not with these guys. And I've dealt with a lot of these people, but they do have very distinct views on things that maybe I don't agree with, or whether they believe in evil aliens or how they see that kind of stuff, or their religious beliefs or stuff like that. But so that's all I can really say about that. It's I think that's the best way for me to go, is to have this huge list, and to give you an idea, you start seeing these patterns again, that Bill Moore was just a guy who believed that he was smart like Tom DeLonge. He could get in on the inside. He could figure this thing out, and he was trying to figure it out. And when it all sort of blew up in his face, the ego, he couldn't take it, and he had to leave the field. And one of the things I'm going to talk about in Los Angeles is this is the second time this happened to me. I've got some documents. I've got now 99 pages of documents. And this has to do with an eyes-only briefing for a president of the United States. And there's a negotiation going on now to get the rest of it. What it was a guy who ran this program. It was a 90-day program for a president, which I'm not going to say who it was right at the moment, but to do a study, and that there was 8 people on the team. And when you look at the people on the team, the first thing I saw was Art Lundahl's name, and I said, wow, this has got to be for real, because most people don't know who he is and how important he is, that if you were going to do a team for the President of the United States as to what's going on, you would have Art Lundahl on the team. So what you do is you get a crossover from the Tom DeLonge or the Bill Moore thing, the same crossover. So let's take a look at Tom DeLonge. So you have Art Lundahl. Well, that will be Jim Semivan, high-level CIA guy. And then the other guy that was on the team was Kelly Johnson, was on this team for this 90-day eyes-only briefing for this president. Well, Kelly Johnson, if you remember the Tom DeLonge operation when this thing first started out, and they sent Tom DeLonge from airport to airport, the same as they did to Bill Moore, he gets in contact with Robert Weiss, and he's dealing with Robert Weiss at Lockheed Skunk Works, the head of Lockheed Skunk Works. So on this other operation, it's Kelly Johnson. It's that same thing. And
was
the other one that
was this to brief Kennedy?
No, it's not Kennedy. It's one that you wouldn't think of. But if you give me another week, I will hopefully by I want to make sure we get the rest of these documents.
Grant, why do you do this to me? You do this to me constantly.
Well, I will. I'm not the type of guy
so
that
it
I
was
will
Johnson.
never keep a secret. So I just want to make sure we get these documents. There's about 250 pages, and what it is, it's not government documents. It's the guy that ran the study.
Right.
And his guy's name was Rand. Frank Rand ran the study. And he had these guys, and at the end he starts to write this book, and he's got all his notes. He starts writing the book, and this is all 99 pages is bits and pieces of this book and notes and stuff like that he had, naming the people and stuff like that. And he dies. All the people are dead. The last guy died last year.
It has to be Johnson. Johnson's the president that we've forgotten about. Most people don't even know that he was president.
Yeah, it could be Johnson.
Okay.
Anyway, but let me give this other connection. So you got the CIA, high-level CIA guy. You got the guy from Lockheed Skunk Works, and the other guy that's on this list is the guy that had. It's not exactly the same job, but he's a general at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Well, that's General McCaslin, who joined up the Tom DeLonge operation. So you get this thing from like 4 decades ago, and it's the same story. It's the same group of people who get together. The head of the other guy that was on there was the second director of the National Reconnaissance Organization. Well, most people don't know that Tom DeLonge has a general in the National Reconnaissance Organization. It's the same story. It's like they run this thing over and over again, that they're in these operations, almost like you see the Bill Moore's people a lot of them are part of Tom DeLonge's operation. They were part of NIDS. They were part of James Firmage's operation. They just keep reappearing because they're sitting there. They're not, guys who are trying to destroy the world. They're guys who at one point in their career got a sniff of the UFO thing, like you and I, fell down the rabbit hole and are trying to figure this thing out and are trying to use their intelligence connections to figure out what's going on. So every time there's some money, like Bob Bigelow with NIDS, and they're getting paid $1,000 a day to be consultants, they say, yeah, right, let's get in there. And they can get information, they can get money, and Tom DeLonge, because that's what happened with Tom DeLonge. If you look at Hal Puthoff, what Hal Puthoff says is the reason that he joined the Tom DeLonge operation is he got a phone call from Kit Green. And Kit Green said, oh, Tom DeLonge, he's sort of on the leading edge of some stuff. You might want to check him out. And so it's like, oh, there's some information. There's some an operation going on here. And they all just find out, where's the operation going on right now? In the 1980s, it was Bill Moore was the name of the game. He was the guy that was on the inside that was talking to, supposedly talking to Kissinger, talking to Gates, and talking to Richard Helms, had all these high-level guys. And so, of course, you want to get in on that circle and find out what you can. And today, the new Bill Moore, the new in guy who has the money, who has the connections inside the government, who is being contacted by the government, is Tom DeLonge. And that's why Kit Green joined the organization. And that's when Jim Semivan said he learned about Kit Green from a high-level CIA guy. That's got to be Kit Green. And then he went in April of 2016 and said, oh, I hear you're talking to these generals. What's going on? I'd like to help you. That's exactly what I said to Bill Moore. I'm here to help you. And they get in and they want to move the story. So that's why I call it managing magic. There's this story, this UFO story, and sooner or later you got to get this story out. And what they're trying to do, as Melinda Leslie said, you're spinning the story, you're managing the story, you're keeping it away from classified material, and you're getting it to go in the direction you want it to go slowly, because you know eventually you have to tell this story.
Well, and it's all great, and laying it out that way, it makes a lot of sense, and I appreciate that. But then when I kind of push that to the side, these are the questions that I ask myself. I'm going to ask you right now. When it comes to Semivan, when it comes to Justice, when it comes to Mellon, when it comes to Puthoff and Kit Green, that top list of guys, you notice who I left out? I left out Elizondo. Now, out of those guys on that list, have they ever seen something at Area 51? Do they have official contact with ET? Have they been briefed and have been shown the proof of ET's existence? Or are they ufologists, number one? Number two, has Elizondo, which he's avoided this question like the plague, has he seen real stuff? Has he been privy to this? Or is his position that he's just a ufologist walking the halls of the Pentagon trying to figure this out too? That's the question. I want to know if these guys at TTSA are in possession of the goods. That's it. Well, yeah, and I'm not sure that they are.
Depends who you're talking about. Let me give you a couple examples.
No, I just gave you the list though. So out of that, let's pull Elizondo off to the side. But
okay, Elizondo said he'd never read a UFO book. He just got pulled in 2008, got dragged into this program, and never read a UFO book to keep himself. And when he gets asked those questions, he said, "I still have a security clearance." The same as Hal Puthoff says. When Hal Puthoff was asked by,
exactly back to my point. I don't believe those words for a second.
What's that? That they're going to protect classified material?
He hasn't read a UFO book. He knows nothing. You know, he didn't do that until 2000. That's BS.
Well, I just take him at his word. I mean, if let's go to you don't know. I don't know. So let's go to one that we do know about. Let's go to Hal Puthoff.
Right. Okay. Love Hal.
Hal Puthoff is asked by George Knapp. He said, "Do we have crashes? Have there been crashes?" And there is a 10-second pause. And then George says, even during the pause, he says, "Well, I guess that's an answer."
Right.
And then Hal says, "Well, there's a UFO document that describes crashes. That's legitimate. I don't know how it got out." And so he basically confirms there is a high-level document that he's confirmed that deals with crashes. that is out there. So there are crashes. And when he's asked about crash material, he said, I think that kind of material is going to be very highly classified. That's exactly right. He may not have access to that kind of material. Let me give you Kit Green. You mentioned Kit Green.
Yes.
I know from many years ago, Kit Green, I was told the story. Kit Green is a physiologist. So he's a doctor type guy. And I heard that he knew a lot of stuff because he was the weird desk guy at the CIA, and he knew a lot of stuff. He was the guy that briefs the president on UFOs and stuff like that. But he could never get read in on alien autopsies.
Right.
And he was trying to get read in because he's a physiologist, and they wouldn't read him in. And so that's the way I look at these guys, is they're trying to figure this thing out for themselves. They're trying to figure out all this kind of stuff. The same as Kit Green tells a story about going with Helms, this very secret meeting. I don't know if you remember the story. Very secret meeting with Richard Helms. There's 3 people. He's supposed to give this code word. And this is Kit Green telling the story. It's not Richard Doty telling the story. And that's when he basically says, Helms is basically saying, believe everything Richard Doty tells you on UFOs. And then when they take a rap on Richard Doty, then suddenly Kit Green says that Helms won't talk to him again. He would never ever talks to him again in his life. So you see these things where these guys are actually trying to figure it out. The same as there's the core story. The core story is that there have been crashes. We're not getting very far, and that's what this study shows. That this study that I'm working on right now shows that we haven't really gotten as far as a lot of people are saying we're getting. So you have the core story. You have Hell Put Off, Jacques Vallée, and Hell Put Off, Jacques Vallée, and Kit Green sit down at a Denny's restaurant in 1987, and they come up with the core story. What are the things we know for sure? And what they come out is that there was an ET, there was a crashes. We're not doing very well. And that's the core story. The rest of it, we really don't know. And that became this sort of idea of the core story. So you see these guys meeting together and trying to figure it out themselves. And I don't think so. It's a compartmentalized thing. So just because you're at some level doesn't mean you know everything. You know a little bit. You know this part. You know that part. And they're trying to figure it out as well. That's why they're in the game. The Hell Put Off doesn't need the money. He's like 80 some years old. They're in this thing for the game. They're trying to figure this thing out. It's like you and I. Like, why did I not quit? I've been at 43 years, and I said, I'm dying to get out of this story. I hate this story. And yet you keep getting dragged in because you want to figure it out. You know, it
I know,
drags
right?
you in.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same with all these guys. And I've met a lot of these people, and that's the way it comes down to me, is that they are down the rabbit hole just the same as you and I, trying to figure this thing out. And who knows the story, whether whoever's got the story, it is very, very compartmentalized. That's what the Canadian government said in 1950 in a top secret memo. It's the most highly compartmentalized, most highly classified subject in the United States. This and these people, through compartmentalization, will only know little bits and pieces, and they've joined up to try to interact with others to figure out more of this story. And
I know, and this is okay. So this is, and when we come back, I want to talk about the this warehouse out in Las Vegas, this Bigelow warehouse. But before we get there, what have we learned since December 16th that is new that we didn't know before? Stephen Hawking has died. Okay, breaking news. Stephen Hawking, everybody, has died at the age of 76. It is just breaking here. It is coming across the wire. Sorry to put a damper on the show tonight. Stephen Hawking has passed at the age of 76. Okay, I'll get some more information on this during the top of the hour. Stephen Hawking passed away today, March 13th, at the age of 76. Okay, back to where we were. Sorry about that, Grant.
No problem.
What have we learned that is new, aside from not only the Pentagon program, which we don't even know the official name of it, but aside from that, what have we learned that is new since December 16th? My answer is nothing. You know, I don't have anything breaking to add to the puzzle that I didn't know before December 16th. What for you? What have we learned that is new here, or are they doing what you're suggesting here and just regurgitating and recycling the story?
They're just doing the first part of the story. They're just doing the UFOs are real type thing. There's no, the idea of aliens or where they're from or crashes is years down the road. So I think intentionally they have, just dripping this thing out bit by bit.
Right.
Just putting more stories into the media. I can't even think of anything. I heard this story about the 60-minute thing, whether that's going to come off or not. That came after. The same thing that I heard before. It's the 16th. We're about to drop this thing. There's more. There's big stuff. Almost what the message you got from Tom DeLonge. Most of the people in that I use for sources that sort of know what's going on, who are sort of not insiders, insiders and sort of out insiders, are all saying the same thing, that there's a lot more to come, that this thing is just starting. But in terms of the thing, it's just acclimatization. That's what they were basically doing. I mean, that's what I learned from the 16th. I thought it was like a disclosure thing. I thought it was going to, sort of really ramp up. And suddenly I realized this thing that, no, it's like almost like what Dr. Eric Walker told us in the 1990s. Why should we change the rules to satisfy your curiosity? They could care less what we think about this thing. They're running their little operation, and they really don't care what you think or I think or who's fighting in the UFO community. They see us as a bunch of nutcases that are just going to get in the way. We had our chance to bring out the story. We didn't bring out the story, and now they're going to do it their way.
Unbelievable. And the other part, I want to talk about this when we come back. This warehouse out there, and I want you to think about this during the break. But my question is a very basic and simple one. Is the debris that they have, is it from a crashed craft that was retrieved, the material by the government and given to Bigelow out there to study, or is it from civilians and it's trace evidence collected at the scene? I think that is paramount here. Paramount. Is this from a Bob Lazar craft, right? Or is it something else that is just anomalous and that was collected somewhere? That's what what is it? Before you claim that it is alien, I'm talking about, Bigelow or To the Stars. Where is the provenance? Where is the chain of custody? Where did it come from? That's all I want to know. I think that's
Do you want to do that now? Or
No. We have to take a break right here, and I want to remind everybody that in 3 minutes the countdown starts. Onstellar will launch in 3 minutes, 9 p.m. here on the Pacific Coast. And midnight on the East Coast. You will be able to go and register. Use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy. When you register, go and reserve your screen name now for this exciting new online community for the paranormal. And I'm going to talk to Grant after the show tonight about Onstellar, because I think tomorrow Grant is going to be right there with us with Onstellar. And so I'm going to take a break right here. This Stephen Hawking thing really bums me out. I don't know if you ever had the chance to meet Stephen, Grant, but I did. And cool. I've got some really cool pictures that I took. This is about 10 years ago. And I'm going to go peel those off a cell phone. I never thought that this day would come where I would have to go and pull these out and take a look at them again. You think everybody's going to live forever, right? That's just the way it goes. Very bummed about this, but yes, Stephen Hawking passed away a little earlier this evening. And I'm going to take a break right now. We'll be right back. Continue this discussion with the one and only Grant Cameron. And as promised, when we come back, I want to talk about this warehouse. I want to know really what's going on out there. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go register to Onstellar in 2 minutes. I'll be right back. Onstellar.com.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now for a special radio offer from Angioprim. That's angioprim.com/radio. ANGIOPRIM. Angioprim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRAradio.com.
Hello, Fadernauts. This is Jimmy Church, and I'm introducing New Pharma, a company whose products are based on science. Human function based on the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. New Pharma firmly believes in this science, and their research indicates that support of the ECS provides the beneficial effects for a healthy lifestyle. New Pharma's science includes relief capsules for pain relief, sleep capsules, which are natural support for occasional sleeplessness. Foundation is support for your ECS, and Fit capsules support your active lifestyle. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B for a 33% discount on all of their products. Or visit newpharma.com for all of the knowledge on the science. That's GNUpharma.com. Go back, Lee Tappy. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go back, Lee Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only. I say it often about Grant, but I don't say it about anybody else, and I think all of you know that. All right, I'm tweeting out now. There it is, Onstellar.com. Use promo code Jimmy. You can now go and register. And this portion of the show is proudly brought to you by New Manna. New Manna, emergency food storage for you and your family. Use the promo code, what are we using for New Manna? Jimmy for the promo code there. And you'll get yourself an autographed Fade to Black t-shirt. Hey, Grant, do you have a Fade to Black t-shirt?
No, I don't, sir.
Why not?
I just,
that doesn't even make any sense to me. How could you not have a Fade to Black t-shirt?
I'll get one in Los Angeles. You're going to have somebody there?
Yeah.
Give me one, or I can buy one?
I will take care of it. What size?
Let's go with large, and I will take a picture, and you can.
Well, I'm going to be live on the air that night. So,
yeah, but I'm saying I'll take a picture with somebody.
Oh, yeah. Now that would be cool.
Just to prove that I've got it.
Yeah, I have got you and I don't even know if you remember this. I think it was about 5 years ago. You were speaking here in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And you and I got a chance to hang out that night. And it was one of the coolest nights ever. And, we only took one picture that night.
Wow.
But I have, it's like one of my prized possessions, man. It's one of my prized. So, but yeah, you're going to be here next week, next Tuesday and Wednesday at UPARS and, of course, MUFON, Orange County. And both of those events are going to sell out. It's going to be standing room only because it is Grant and he's coming into town. But I wish I could be there. This is the thing, Grant, especially with UPARS and MUFON, Orange County. They do their events on Tuesday and Wednesday night. I'm on the air every night. If they did it on a Saturday or Sunday, I could go. I have missed years of really great people speaking at both of those events because I'm always on the air. Everybody else gets to have fun. I'm stuck here in the bunker, doing shows every night. I don't get to do the fun stuff.
Well, you've got the more power. Do they tape these? Because that's what I always found disappointing in the UFO community is you work on a lecture and then you go to a conference and there's like 75 people and you go like, I worked on 2 months for 75 people.
Right.
With if you got a radio show or a YouTube channel or something, I mean, sometimes you look at it and you're talking to stadiums full of people.
Right.
I mean, that's the way it works.
Yeah. That, you bring up a really good point. Our audience here, it's frigging large. There's no doubt about that. And, and you throw in coast to coast, and suddenly in a week I could be speaking literally to millions of people.
Yeah.
But you, on the other hand, you are able to go out there one-on-one with an audience, which I enjoy that so much more. You're going to have at UPARS, you're going to have a couple of hundred people there, right? Standing room only. Same thing, MUFON Orange County is really good. Plus your Grant Cameron. But when you spoke out here 5 years ago, that was a packed house, man. That was a really, really good presentation. And I remember
Yvonne Smith's event, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was Yvonne Smith. Yeah, it was Yvonne Smith. And you spoke about and you had everybody riveted. You had somebody just posted, "Where's my Fade to Black T-shirt?" in Twitter. You spoke about rock stars and music and UFOs and contact in lyrics, and it was awesome, man. That was a really good presentation.
Yeah, in fact, that book is just released yesterday. We finally released the book. It's been that's what I'm saying. I can't get anything done. I'm just this story just sort of. I keep watching these 100 people and what's going on, and we finally got the book, and then the girl who put it out for me, she said, well, do you want to do the press release and whatever? I said, no, wait till I get back from California. I haven't got time to do interviews now on rock music. I'm not I almost have to reread the book because it's been like 2 years since that book was finished, and it finally was released yesterday. So that the whole book on how many, musicians have been abducted and how many had UFO sightings over their concerts and all this kind of stuff. It took 2 years to get out, but it's finally out. So
and now you got to write a Tom DeLonge addendum.
Well, yeah, I'm halfway through that. I've done a lot. I've done maybe about 8 hours of updates, and I have a lot of people inside that are sort of doing this sort of stuff. And I'm sort of betting the fact that they are going to actually sell the farm here. I mean, they're going to pull this thing off. So I'm just betting on that, and just recording everything as it takes place. And when you start looking, there's a lot of interviews, a lot of stuff is happening, a lot of people are talking. So we'll see where it goes. But I've got, and the other one I'm doing is now I'm going to have to do the book on the on this presidential briefing thing, and we're coming out with a book on Barry Goldwater's files. I found those a couple of years ago. He corresponded with a lot of people on UFO stuff. So, and he's a senator. Now you have this whole thing with Harry Reid, who I will tell you was briefed. He had a classified briefing on UFOs. And so now you have, we're going to bring that book out. And there's just so much material. It's just, there's no time to do anything. It's sort of like, I never would have believed that it would get like this. I thought I'd get into consciousness because, that's my main field.
Right.
The whole thing with, they fly the flying saucer with consciousness and that's what the world is all about and stuff. And I haven't done that for so long. It's just because you just can't leave this story alone. It's just so much material happening that my life has sort of been taken over.
Now, what do you think about this warehouse? Now, again, my opinion does not matter. My opinion doesn't matter. But my questions, I think, matter and need to be answered. What do you think they're in possession of?
Okay, well, I'll talk about what I know about metals. I would say that the buildings is really got nothing to do with warehouses. It's got to do with creating a secure facility. That if you're going to handle top secret crash material or whatever, you need a skiff. And in the interview that you did with Tom DeLonge, he talks about being in the skiff with the, with the white noise and the seals and all the tumblers and the vaults and the people with machine guns. That's what you need. So that it's not so much that he has these huge crafts that he has to maintain or whatever. And I'm just guessing. It's just that he's got to create a skiff. He's got to create a secure environment because now he's working for the U.S. government, and the U.S. government is going to be done by the book. It's going to be 6-7 layers of paperwork and all this kind of stuff. All these rules and how to handle classified material, and everything has to be in a vault and all this kind of stuff. So that's what I think that's about. But I'll tell you about my understanding of the metals. You got to remember that all this material, everything is controlled by Bob Bigelow. He's this genius guy who basically was able to use other people's money and get control. He's almost like the guy in Contact. He controls everything now, all the UFO reports, the UFO hardware, that's in private, not the very highly classified crash material, but in terms of the material that was gathered by ATIP, all this kind of stuff. But he's been gathering this material for years and years and years. He had, the consciousness studies at UNLV. He had NIDS. He did he financed a lot of people. He financed some abduction research. He bought up the Carpenter files. He financed MUFON. That's where that money was coming from MUFON. He got their files. He got the Canadian files out of BC. So he gathered all this material and has this huge collection of material. So some of the material that he's been working on previous was metal material. For example, Jacques Vallée, who's always been very close to NIDS, whether he was getting funding from Bigelow or whatever. But Jacques Vallée talks about the implants, the Lear implants, and he said I was very skeptical. And then when I worked on them through Bigelow, I guess they did research, or they did all this metal research on the implants, and then he said I'm a lot less skeptical about the implants. So that will be one type of metal. The other one is the one that Hal Puthoff is now, not Hal Puthoff, Jacques Vallée is now running around lecturing on, and that is these things where you have the UFO that pretends it's like a bird with a broken wing, and it's sort of flipping around, and it's like it's going to crash, and it shoots out the metal. And this has happened lots of times in history. And Jacques Vallée has collected all this metal. He's gathered these various stories where the UFO shoots out this metal. And of course, in the old days, it was like, it's a hoax. These people are just making this up. It's just aluminum. It's just this. It's nickel. It's zinc. It's whatever. And then he did these analysis and found these isotopes. So this is going to be probably part of the metal that's part of that collection, is these things where he talks about these isotopes are way out. They're out by like 30% or whatever. But then they always go back. It's the same sort of thing. It's the confirmation thing. It's the idea that these metals don't prove anything. This is not extraterrestrial metal. This is not ET metal. This is meta materials. It's material that we cannot develop. We cannot produce. We cannot produce these type of isotopes today. And therefore, it shows the same as the videos. It shows something very strange is going on, but it doesn't necessarily, it goes back to this, don't go to the alien thing. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's extraterrestrial. It just says that this is very strange material that we can't produce. So you have those. You have the layered piece that Tom DeLonge talked about. I don't know if he talked about it on your show, but he talked about this piece, this 80 levels, 80 piece, very thin layers of metal layered on top of each other. And it was almost like the arts parts that Linda worked on years ago with the same sort of thing, this layered thing. And it was supposed folks are showing up at the Grove. They were going to have this meeting at the Grove that Sarfati was going to run, and this metal was going to show up there. So you have that piece of metal, and that's the one that they say has these weird properties. That Hal Puthoff has talked about. It has these weird properties that when you bombard it or whatever, they think that has something to do with the propulsion system. So you have that layered piece. Then you have the piece with the New Mexico one. And I've actually got a piece of this. I was actually given a piece of this. This is a crash site. And I don't know if you know about Diane Pasulka is one of the people. She just released a book. And Diane Pasulka was one of the people as part of this cosmic club. She got dragged into this thing. Is sort of not with To the Stars, but sort of is dealing with there's a whole group of people that are sort of on the edges of this thing, watching what's going on. They're being given material, whatever. She's a religion professor at the University of North Carolina. And she tells this story about a guy, a NASA guy. This is an experiencer guy that I refer to. He's not outed himself yet. But he tells the story that he takes her to a crash site in New Mexico. And this is not the Roswell crash site or the 1945 Paula Harris site or any of those sites. This is a site where he takes her, and she's blindfolded with another professor from the University of North Carolina, and they have to wear these blindfolds, and they take us to the campfire where the site was. And I'm thinking, well, I know where this comes from, because my friend here in Winnipeg is the guy that showed the NASA guy where this site was. And so I in one of my updates, I actually show metal from that crash site. And so that material, I think, is part of this collection in this warehouse. This comes from this site in New Mexico, which it is, I guess, it's still got metal there. And the other one is a piece that I've seen. I've seen photographs of that. I was assured is very, very strange piece of material. It doesn't look very strange. I mean, it doesn't look like anything that would be off a spacecraft. It looks pretty, bizarre, melted type stuff. But it was assured because it was handed off by I believe by the NASA guy to say this is a legitimate piece. It's been analyzed and it's one of these strange pieces. But again, it goes back to what the Canadians said: is this really doesn't prove anything. This just says yes, we are dealing with something very, very bizarre. But I'll guarantee you because Justice is supposed to be bringing out this piece, and what the piece I think they're going to bring out is this layered piece of metal. And that where it has these strange properties when you bombard it, and these anti-gravity properties. That is the piece that I think that they will be showing, and Tom DeLonge has talked about showing. That will make a big hit. In the media will lap that up, and then they're going to move it back. They're going to walk the story back, and they're going to say this doesn't mean it's alien. This doesn't mean it's from Zeta Reticuli. It just says this is very strange, and the Russians could get this before us, and the Chinese could get this before us, and we've got to spend some money, and we've got to get congressional hearings, and they go down that route that we need some attention to this, but they're not going to go the alien thing for a long, long time, as far as I'm aware.
Is there any word about because Doty came on the show and spoke about this, where he was briefed on Roswell, watched a film, read documents. Yeah. Is there any word about that when it comes to moving forward here? Debris that was a crashed. Is there anything about Roswell when this chatter floats around about what we are going through now in the Pentagon?
No. That's again. If you listen to Hal Puthoff will say when he makes reference, he says that's probably pretty highly classified, and he would know the rules. He would know. He may have heard some stories about it. He may have been briefed on it, but they ain't going there, because it always comes down to it's the idea that if you're in the government, if you're you got a government contract like Nolan has, or Kit Green, or Puthoff, if you release classified material, they pull your clearance and you're out of business. I mean, that's game over if you don't have a security clearance. So they're never going to walk across that security line. So they know you can talk about this easy material, this kind of stuff. You're allowed to talk about it, but you don't go to this. So that's why when Hal Puthoff did this interview with George Knapp, I was kind of surprised when he actually confirmed there was a crash sauce. There's a document that is out there that's legitimate. And the other thing that he said that really surprised me, if he does have security clearance, is he said he was asked about the Russians and Chinese, because that's the big hype. It's this threat thing, because if unless you say this is a threat, unless you play that game, you're not going to get any money. Who cares, about aliens or whatever? The only way you're going to get any money, the only people that have money is the Defense Department. So you got to say it's a threat. So what you're doing is you're playing this game of we got to get it before the Russians. And Hell actually admitted on this interview, he was asked about the Russians, and he said, yes, I know that. I've seen detailed classified reports on the Russian program. And that was a revelation. I mean, that Hal Puthoff would say that. I mean, that's pretty out there, that there are actually documents that detail the Russian program, which would, again, indicate that we have a program. No matter what they say, this is the only program, and this is, just the only 10 years we've been working on this, and we didn't do anything. This is absolute nonsense, that the government would not work on this. It has to be highly classified, especially the nuclear weapon thing. To say we aren't interested in a system that can shut down all nuclear weapons is absolute insanity. I mean, no, we wouldn't want to know how to shut down Russian nuclear missiles. No, we wouldn't want to know that. I mean, of course they're working on this. Of course they've got it. And it comes down to this thing about levels of security, that you can talk about certain things, and that's where they're going. They're starting at the bottom, and they're going to work their way up as this thing develops. But what they know, all these different guys, they, based upon their experience, would know little bits and pieces. I would say the main motivating factor for the people that I know is the fact that they are experiencers. They've had the beings in their room, and they've gotten downloads, and they know that this thing's for real. And that sort of drives a lot of the people that I know in the To the Stars thing. Even Tom DeLonge talks about this experience he had outside Area 51. Mm-hmm. And you know what it's like. Once you have an experience, it's pretty hard to let go of the thing. People will say, "Oh, this guy quit the UFO community." It's always the joke. It's like, "Oh, don't worry, he'll be back." It's like you can't leave. I mean, once you've had an experience, it drags you in, almost like that's part of the thing that the aliens. Because that's people got to realize the aliens are doing the same thing. The aliens are not disclosing. If they wanted to disclose, they'd land on the White House lawn and tell us what's going on. Mm-hmm. And they're not covering up, because if they wanted to cover up, they'd turn the lights off. Why do UFOs have lights on them? They have lights on them so you can see them. They want you to see them. If they abduct people, you don't see them. When they want to be seen, they're seen. So they're playing the game, and so all this may be actually part of an alien thing, where the aliens are actually releasing this, and that's what this study shows. That this 90-day eyes only study shows that we really don't know as much as people are playing. That we know that even like. You look at Jim Semivan, where he talks about the scientific method, that we're going to analyze this thing. Oh, we're going to figure this thing out. And he said the idea that you can measure this thing is laughable. How do you define something where there does not appear to be any there? This has got to do with consciousness and multidimensionality that is beyond our present science. And it starts to set up this scenario that maybe this thing is controlling the whole thing. That, in fact, Semivan told that to somebody. He was asked, who's running the show? And he said, they are. Basically, like, we really don't have any control over this sort of thing. And they are sort of dealing out the cards, and they're letting us see, like almost like this metal. They extrude this metal out these crafts. Maybe they're actually crashing on purpose. Maybe they're actually giving us this metal. They're leaving us little breadcrumbs to follow, and that they've done this on 1,000 planets before. They know exactly how to unravel this thing slowly, but they're doing the same thing. They're not doing it fast. They're doing the little drip, drip, drip. They're little clues. Do this, do that, sabotage the witness. They'll tell a witness something, and then they'll tell him something that's wrong, and the guy looks like he's a fool because the prediction didn't turn out. It's almost the same game the government's playing, almost like the government has watched what the aliens are doing and are doing exactly the same thing.
And my question is why? If that is what you know, then say that is what is going on. I don't need, you have Charlie Red Star, right? I have my sightings that I have had with hundreds of witnesses standing next to me, videotape. I've got it all to back it. I don't need Tom DeLonge. I don't need the Pentagon. I don't need Trump. Right. I don't need anybody to tell me that aliens are here, because I know that they are. So why have this back and forth disinfo thing, like you were just saying, right? Take down a witness and embarrass him, but allude that this is real, allude that this is consciousness and it's beyond our scientific. Why not just come clean? I don't think the planet really cares one way or another. They're not going to go into shock. Just come clean. Who cares? I mean,
well,
why?
If you listen to Putoff or you listen to Elizondo, they both talk about this thing. Elizondo was threatened. I mean, this is what people don't realize with the remote viewing program. And this was told to me by Dr. Scott Jones, who was very close to what was going on when it was shut down, said the main reason that it was shut down is because there are very high-level people in the CIA who believe this is demonic. And it's the same thing Hal Puthoff mentions, this fact that there are people inside the Pentagon. There is a war going on. You are not going to release this because this is demonic. These UFO things that we think that everybody's going to go along, and that's where this acclimatization thing is. They don't care about you and I. They know that you and I believe. They're not here to solve our problems or to prove it to us. They're trying to get that very edge that doesn't really believe it, or that maybe have a religious thing, and they're trying to do it subconsciously, almost like a movie where you're like if you're a CIA agent, you want to tell your story, you put it into a movie, and you sort of you put messages through Hollywood. And that's the main reason. Even if you take Chase Brandon, the guy that came out and said Roswell was real, it was extraterrestrial, and there were bodies, and he walks back in the shadows and nobody even chases the guy. I mean, where is Chase Brandon right now? He was the liaison to Hollywood for 10 years, influencing movies. Oh, you're doing a CIA movie? Oh, cool. Would you like to come to CIA? We'd like to help you out. And of course, they want to manage the movie. So you can either kill everybody on the set, or you manage the movie and you move them. Where's Chase Brandon now? He's still in Hollywood. He's a consultant in Hollywood. Now he's gone from the white world CIA to the black world CIA. So you're dropping this stuff into movies, and you're doing it gradually because you have this element inside the U.S. government or in religious communities who don't want any part of this. And you're trying to move. It's almost like the election. If you're running the election, you don't care about the Democrats. Who cares? You don't care about the Republicans. You don't put ads to them. You go to the swing voters. You're trying to find out the people that you can move, and you're slowly moving over the swing voters. I think it's the same sort of issue. It's not like that they're going to, because with same as I, that if you put an idea out in the UFO community, you're not going to convince anybody. Everybody has their idea set as to what's going on. And it's the same thing in the public. You have to gradually move people across to the idea that this thing's for real. And then you can move to the next step. That you can't. That's in the Brookings Institute report. And Bigelow, I think, hinted that there was other reports. It was not just the Brookings Institute report. There was other reports that said if you drop this thing, the lower society disappears. And so they would look at these reports and say, we don't want to take a chance. I mean, as Stephen Greer says, politicians are gutless wonders. They're not going to do anything unless they absolutely know for sure that it's going to work out. It's like kick it down the road. I mean, or Kit Green says, what would you do if you had to run the thing? I mean, would you just stand up and take the chance that you spill the milk and it's all going to go south? Or are you going to say, well, drop a couple of stories, let's drill another oil well, and let's drag it on, because the military is going to come to you and say, well, Mr. President, the longer you leave this thing go, the better chance that we're going to be able to fight this thing if it's evil. And the other thing is, if you drop it and you confirm to the Russians where we're doing the research and the Chinese, you may give the Chinese may have 80% of the story, and you give the Chinese the 20% they need, and you don't have the whole story, then suddenly the Chinese run the whole show. And it's been I don't think anybody denies whoever gets this technology rules the world.
Well, you know what? We could continue on forever. I just love it when you come on the show. Grant, thank you so much for the conversation, and have a safe trip down here to Los Angeles, and really excited for LA to go out and hear you and hang out with you for a couple of nights here. Just again, thank you for all that you do, Grant. And as soon as the smoke clears over the next couple of weeks, we'll get you back on Fade to Black. There's always much more to talk about, and we got to talk about that book. Okay, so let's.
Yeah, you're a music guy. We'll do music.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
I'll reread my book so I know what's going on.
I'll reread it too. Thank you so much, Grant. Be safe and be well. Now, listen, I've got to talk to you tomorrow, so pick up the phone when I call. Okay? Okay. I'll talk to you. Thank you, Grant.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Good night.
Grant Cameron, what a great conversation tonight. And like I said, he centers me. It's exactly what he does. He does it every time that he's on. And always pushing the envelope. And the thing is with Grant, as with every guest that we have on the show, he's absolutely right. Listen to everybody. Listen to everybody. And if there's ever a reason to be skeptical, Grant tells you, put on those skeptical glasses. You just got to do it that way. All right, I'm going to take a break right here. When I come back, I'm going to open up the phone lines. Fantastic conversation with Grant, number one. Number two, Onstellar is live. Did you get your screen name that you wanted? I'm watching everybody's post right here. Onstellar.com. Go and get your screen name. Register. Use the promo code Jimmy. And I want to thank Grant Cameron for coming in. I'm going to open up the phone lines, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. Big night tonight. Not only with Grant, but Onstellar.com is live. Onstellar.com, promo code Jimmy. Go and get yourself your screen name. I'll be right back.
And you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
So you went to dinner last night, you had your favorite pasta. Ugh. Or maybe you had a heavy, spicy meal and it left you. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Maybe you mowed down a huge steak and your plumbing is all plugged. Ugh. Get the tea.com. Our super strength tea will take care of your occasional. Ugh. It's all organic and non-GMO. Get rid of. Ugh. We have so many great supplements, but our super tea is number one. GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at JimmyChurchRadio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hey, can we talk about something serious for a minute? Your age. Getting old has its perks. But remember, being a few years younger, you know, your hair was thicker, you didn't have so many wrinkles, that extra weight wasn't haunting you, and you just felt better. Well, we can't turn back the clocks and go back 10 or 15 years, but you can start feeling and looking 10 or 15 years younger with Nature's Youth RSF. It's a doctor-formulated daily supplement that helps your body maintain its peak performance and fight the aging process. Imagine sleeping better, looking better, and feeling better. See how Nature's Youth RSF has helped thousands of people just like you at nature'syouth.com. nature'syouth.com. The holidays are coming. Imagine how it will feel when your family and friends are asking you what you did to look so good. Your secret will be Nature's Youth RSF. It's time to start looking better and feeling better. Learn more and order your Nature's Youth RSF at nature'syouth.com. That's nature'syouth.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Hello to everybody out there on YouTube tonight. Very special night. Had Grant Cameron in here giving his insight and his take on the Tom DeLonge recent release of this third video. And very interesting. And Grant is on top of his game. And I've opened up the phone lines, 323-825-5045 or 323-275-9695. If you're on hold, stay right there. Also, Onstellar is live. You can go now onstellar.com and register and use the promo code Jimmy when you do. It's very simple. And it's there. And you can go and read the white paper and look at this exciting, and you can look at some of the screenshots of the interface, this exciting new social media platform that takes the elements of all social media, puts it in one package. So everything that you're used to out there is there. It's going to be a platform built around our community. And it's built on the blockchain. That's the other thing. We're going to have a token community, and the rewards are going to be there. It's part of the future. Then this is the first social media platform that not only is for our community like this. It's big, it's exciting, but it's also the future built on blockchain. So go and register now, and you will be notified. You've got the countdown clock to everything, as well as for me, which is really exciting, is that the members of our community that are already involved are going to be listed. I don't know if they're up there yet, but when you see who is involved and who is behind this, it's just, you are going to just be so happy. It is so exciting. Okay, with that, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Did you get registered?
No, not yet.
What? Go and register.
I'm still at work. So.
Okay. All right. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, first thing I want to say, you always bring amazing guests on your show. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
And the second thing I want to talk about, something that Grant was saying, reminded me. Recently, I had asked my supervisor. Well, my supervisor was in the Air Force, and he was like a big top-notch. I don't know, whatever. I don't know how that works out, but I asked him if he's ever been to Area 51, and he said I wanted to go. He's like, but I couldn't because you have to be in some type of program in order to do that. And he's like, and it doesn't matter how high you rank in the military, like, you just have to be in a program. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, they make aircraft that, I don't know, I guess isn't shown to the public. I don't know. It's weird. And he said that back in the 90s, that supposedly they were working on an aircraft, the F-117, I believe that's what he said. And he said that they would test it out at night, and it had like this triangular shaped form, and he said people would mistaken that for a UFO craft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they were. And especially back then when the F-117, the Nighthawk, when it was being tested, first off, it didn't even look like a plane, right? It's a black, it's a black diamond-shaped aircraft, And testing that at night, if you happen to catch it because it's black, it would have been hard to see at night. But and if you did catch it, you would think it was pretty strange. And I'm sure that there were a lot of sightings around Area 51 and also the Mojave Desert out here in California during that time where it could have been confused as that. Also, the B-2 stealth bomber, same situation, unique shape. And seeing that in the sky would definitely freak some people out, daytime or at night, because it would be hard to see at night. So I agree. I hear you on that point, but I want to stay positive when it comes to the Stars Academy. I do. I really want some movement to happen here for us. I don't care about me, Marilyn. I care about the community. I care about the world. And I don't care who you are, what religion, if you believe in UFOs or not, that are visiting this planet. We all want to know if we're alone in this universe, and that's an important question. And I think that I know that our government knows the answer to this question. I don't need it. I don't need it. I'm speaking about everybody else on this planet. Ever since, if you go back, seriously, let's go back 10,000 years. And Cro-Magnon, Neanderthal, Homo sapien, walking around, digging for seeds, trying to feed your family, doing this. And at night, you look up and you're looking at the stars. And you don't understand aliens or whatever. You don't. But you know what? You're looking out there going, wow, that's kind of cool. I wonder what's out there. And that question has been here since the very beginning of mankind. So, you know what? Quit putzing around. You know the truth, right? You know the truth. So out with it already. We're not going to freak out. We've been asking ourselves this question forever. So that's my take, and that's it. It's for the community. I don't need the answer. I don't need to hear it, but everybody else does. So that's my take, and I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah. I was just curious and see if he'd say something like interesting, like conspiracy or whatever, but, But I do take that we are not alone in this universe.
Well, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to get to some other calls, but get registered on Onstellar, okay? So you can go and get your screen name and get it all set up. All right, and tell your boss to do it too. Use the promo code Jimmy. Don't forget, use the promo code Jimmy. Thank you, Marilyn. Have a great, safe rest of your night. We'll see you tomorrow night right here.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Marilyn. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hey, it's Eric, the realtor from Los Angeles.
Oh, my goodness. How are you, Eric?
Pretty good, brother. How you been?
It's great to hear your voice.
Well, I called in tonight because I want, hopefully, more people to kind of reinforce Cameron's point of view, just 2 minutes, I'll tell you how I feel about this, and it's pretty much exactly how he feels. Like, you've got DeLonge and you've got Bigelow, and they're both rich guys who've accomplished a lot, who've gotten into this subject and probably have discovered a lot. Bigelow went dark, and DeLonge's kind of trying to head for that light, right? He's trying to kind of fill us in, and the first stuff he's revealed, I think, is kind of a big fart, all right? Let's just say it. But this community, people are in such a rush, first of all, to call themselves part of the community. And I think be careful about that, because the community is full of a lot of backbiters and infighters, and it's swamp. It's swamp, and it's a lot of swamp creatures. Now, it's a lot of good people, and it includes you and me and a lot of other people. But the bottom line is he's chosen to kind of just fly over to swamp, and I think that's smart, because if he can get there, Jimmy, and he can cause other people to go there, and this becomes kind of more of a mainstream thing, which I really feel it is becoming, That's good. That's a good thing. I don't think a bunch of internet trolls are going to reveal this $1 trillion secret. Do you?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm wondering what you meant by trolls, because wouldn't that be interesting?
What I mean is, this guy, so far we've got a party of 2 that are non-government that have spent real money to kind of try and figure this thing out. More than an iPad and some connectivity.
Right.
And that includes me. I've spent thousands of hours, okay? When I'm not selling real estate or out partying, I've spent thousands of hours researching it passively, but not really gotten active with my own cash. Like, I'm not employing all these people. I'm not spending a bunch of my own coin in retirement to try to figure this thing out. And I just think that he realized real quick he was going to be savaged once he went towards that light. And I'm kind of glad, whatever his results are, even if he's being led down a path, that he's kind of flying over swamp for now and avoiding swamp creatures. And my whole point is that we should be encouraging this. And I think that there's a lot of people in the community that are trying to give the guy a chance. But I think there's a lot of swamp creatures that came out real quick and started savaging the guy. And I'll admit the first stuff he put out was kind of I don't want to use the real term, I think, but it went over like a big fart.
Yeah,
and the bottom line is, I want to say one more thing, okay?
Sure.
I want to say I love Rita and I love you guys, but the one thing I want to leave you with is this secret, when it is revealed, it's going to come with free energy. Because what do we think these space critters are flying around with? It's free energy, and it's unlimited energy. Do we want everybody in the world to have a free, unlimited energy device and the ramifications that could come with that?
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
Let's start discussing that. Like, do we want other countries, other governments, other crazy people in the world to have? Are we ready for this free energy and this? Are we ready for it, really? I've spent a lot of time on this, Jimmy, and at first I was vanguard, and let's tell everybody. Man, the deeper you get into it, I'm not so sure anymore.
Well, the battle over and the wars that have been fought over oil, land, and territory, and then the wars that have been fought over the money that controls that agenda, and you take that off of the table. What is the wars may stop in Syria and Yemen and on the borders of Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Libya, right? But I'll tell you something else that happens with that, right? Okay, we may stop fighting over oil. We may have free energy. But now what happens to the economies of those countries? What happens to the economies of our oil infrastructure and the jobs that are there if free energy gets introduced all over the place and suddenly you take that off of the table? And then so you have to back up from that. Well, then you're not spending money on oil anymore, so you can put that money into other places. Well, there's a whole infrastructure and an economy that now has to get set up based on the free energy idea. And that goes not only with oil, but electricity, right? And we're already trying.
You took the words right out of my mind. And all I'm saying is we've stopped fighting over the old goo that powers our world, and we start fighting over the new goo, whatever that is, that the space critters are using.
Right.
We start fighting over that.
Right.
Let me tell you, it creates a whole new big kind of bang. And it'll be accessible, it'll be free, it'll be, what can a human being do with unlimited source of energy?
Right.
That's frightening. So my point is, one starts to get real deep into this thing, and you really start asking the questions more than, who's in there? Who's in that thing? Once you get past that, you start to think, Jesus, like, what is free energy? It's unlimited.
Right.
Well, everybody has that.
Right.
They don't necessarily. Not everybody shares our ideals or our dream for peace.
Right.
So my bottom line is that I get it. And that if we don't, I guess what I'd say is, if we don't blow ourselves up first, then yes, we get to the new economy, we get to the new infrastructure, we get to Star Trek. But, like, what if it makes it to where we don't get there?
Right.
I just leave the audience with that question. And Rita, I love you. And I love you too, Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. All great points. Have a great, safe night. We'll see you tomorrow night right here.
Thank you, my brother. Bye.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, those are really, 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 really honest, very smart points that he's bringing up. Let me back up to his first point, though. When it comes to Tom DeLonge and to the stars, let me tell you one thing I am really happy about when it comes to DeLonge. Are you ready? I am happy that he wants to spend his money on a big PR firm. Okay? He has hired, I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to get into that, but he has got a big PR firm behind him that is pushing this agenda out there. And I thank him for that, for spending that money, spending the shareholders' money on that. Maybe some at some point came out of his own pocket. But it has put it out onto CNN, Fox, BBC, RT, New York Times, Washington Post, and every other BBC, Sky, every news media outlet, online and on TV and satellite in the world, and has brought that awareness to the front of everything and made it a point of discussion. No matter how much they have stumbled or how much they have messed it up, at least it is out there and being discussed. And I'm glad he spent the money on it. So there you go. And I'm being serious, too. You need to look at it in those terms. Let's go to the UK. Heidi Neal is on the line. Heidi, how are you?
Hello, my sweetheart. How are you this evening? Great show, as usual.
Great show, but it's even better that you're calling with that absolutely fabulous accent.
So, however you keep going.
Just say tea and biscuits for me right now.
Tea and biscuits. You're going to keep giving me new hashtags, aren't you, Jimmy?
Yeah, tea and biscuits. Tea and biscuits. How are you, Heidi?
I'm super excited about Onstellar. Yeah. I couldn't be more excited. You have no idea.
Yeah, we're pretty excited around here, and watching everybody in Twitter posting their screen names and their screenshots.
I've really got to say thank you to the Fadernauts. Wow, what support you guys. You're legends, all of you, really. and I'd also like to say, on behalf of Billy Carson, again, thank you. You're awesome. He's getting so much great feedback from the interview. Thanks to you, Jimmy. He loves you guys. I'm doing a little project with him, but I can't say too much about that just yet. And I want to do a shout-out. Well, not a shout-out, but it's a call-out, really, a call to arms. Myself and Joanne Summerscales, the ET newsroom.
Sure.
Obviously, her more than me, but you know me, I'll assist like I do. We're calling out for any experiences that are musicians. I mean, I know Grant Cameron is obviously, that's his field. We're talking to him as well about it, obviously.
Right.
We're basically putting an album together of experiences. So, like songs that they've written with regard to what they went through, etc. And I'm just wondering if anybody knows anybody. I mean, obviously, I've got a few contacts and I've put the shout out there. But if anybody can send me anything, that would be absolutely remarkable. We've got a few already listed, but the more the merrier, sort of thing.
Right on.
And the proceeds from it, when it's made, is actually going to go to towards something that Joanne's put together, because a lot of people that have been through any sort of all of them that have had bad experiences have basically had their lives put into turmoil and quite often been left with nothing. So it's going to be sort of like a support fund for those people that are suffering. I know it shouldn't be that way, but there are people that have lost friends, family, their livelihoods, as I'm sure you've heard. through going through something like this. So that's what we're trying to put together. So if you know anybody or anybody knows anybody, please feel free to get hold of myself or Joanne at info@theetnewsroom.com.
Yeah,
there's plenty more coming from me my way. As you know, I've got plenty of fingers and plenty of pies.
Yeah, I know, totally. Well, do me a favor, Heidi, bust that out on Twitter one more time so I can see it. And I'll retweet, and we'll get it out there. We'll get it out there on Facebook. And then soon we'll be posting this stuff on Onstellar and get it done.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Hey,
I had to give a bio earlier. I've never had to do a bio on myself. I actually got Joanne to do it for me because I don't like talking about myself. So I said, Joanne, please just do something.
What screen name are you just using? Heidi Neal?
No, I tried to use my Heidi_TTFN, my YouTube and other chat room name, but it wouldn't let me use the underscore. So I'm actually just using my Selenophilia, which I use on Twitter. So, but it's going to be the same profile picture which I use across the board, so people will recognise me.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, super excited about this. Really, really excited. And it's not fair. You guys have gone live before we have.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even think about that. Well, so it goes.
Shiz happens, I believe, is the phrase.
Yeah, right. Did you just say that? Boop. Okay, but
SHIZZ.
Oh, I got you. But yeah, this is exciting, and I'm looking here, and we're up to. If this is accurate, we've got 128,918 registered so far. And considering that we started off at 0 and it just hit so fast and so quick. But looking at this, that's great that our audience is that got wind of it first, flocked and went and did this. But I'm just so excited for the community and.
Oh, it's going to be it's going to be such a breath of fresh air, not to have stuff censored, and you're talking to people that, don't look at you as if you're nuts when you post some of this. I mean, as I say, you know me and the stuff that I post, and I'm a promoter, and all you see on my timeline is stuff about conferences and radio shows and all this and stuff like that. And of course, my friends over here that I'm connected with, I'm sure they've all sort of unfollowed me because they're really not interested in that subject. So it's going to be such a perfect platform for focused thoughts and experts and just sharing just stuff that we're free to share. Finally, I'm so excited. You have no idea.
Yeah, it's going to be so cool, and I can't even believe. The ICO launches here in just 2 weeks, 15 days. And there's that part, but then we go big and launch the platform itself in Q3, and by my math, that's like 3 months away. So we're here. I mean, that's it. There's no turning back, and this is going to be just an amazing, amazing time. Not only for ufology, but I'm just excited for our community in general because this, having something like this, Heidi, that is forward thinking, having the blockchain and social media, having the first new social media platform launching this big, but it's for our community. And for the first time we're able to just unite and have something this big, this important done for the community, and that's what I'm so happy about. I couldn't be happier. Myself and Rita, the work that everybody at Onstellar has put into this, and I'm speaking around the world and across the board. The team has been so committed, and to have these technical people that have designed the site and the investors and the people that are behind it they know more about UFOs than you do, Heidi. It'll trip you out, and it's just like, okay, this is real. They are actually involved, and they have the same commitment to this as I do or you do or anybody else in our community. So,
I first came across the guys from Zohar when I went along to the Eric von Daniken night at the BAFTAs in London last year. in my usual fashion, I turned up 2 hours early, like I do, rolled my sleeves up and got involved and ended up working for the evening. And you could see, I mean, that was one big event. I mean, to be held at the BAFTAs in London, that is a pretty huge deal. Huge deal.
Yeah.
So the minute I started dealing with, working alongside, however you want to say it, with these guys, and it's so professionally done. It's just uber impressive.
Yep.
So
and
to be involved at the base level is just, you feel so privileged. Everybody that's signing up today should feel privileged. We are sort of a part of history, effectively, because I think this is just going to go for a massive.
And that's my point, Heidi. I gotta go. I gotta close the show and roll credits here. But thank you so much for everything and your support, and we'll see you tomorrow night right here on Faded Black. Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, darling. Night all.
Heidi Neal, live from the UK, giving us the Onstellar updates. And have you registered? You go and you register, and then you get to go back and choose your screen name, make it all happen, be a part of history. Onstellar.com, promo code Jimmy. Like I said last night on the show, and I really mean this, you will remember where you were the day that Onstellar launched, and that day is today. Onstellar.com. Thank you to Grant Cameron, Heidi Neal, the best. This is Faded Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Faded Black's executive producer is Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, SpaceboyMusic.com. Faded Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2018 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, radio host Tim Ray joins the show. You're not going to want to miss that. Until tomorrow night, everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.